Hey there. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 126 of Heavy Metallurgy. Hope you're all having a good Friday and had a good week. Alan, good to see you as always. How are you?
Doing good. How are you doing this week, Marty?
Not bad. Same old, nothing interesting. Pretty boring.
Yeah, it's a week.
Right on. But we have some business to attend to this evening, don't we?
We do. We have a giveaway to wrap up from last week. So
good turnout too, everybody that commented. Thank you so much. It's very cool.
Yes, a lot of people were really excited about this giveaway. And if you missed it and don't know what we're talking about, on last week's show, we told folks that tonight we would give away a copy of Panopticons and Again Into the Light, the first pressing, which sold out super fast. So while other pressings have been available, very few people had a chance to get the first press on a unique color variant of vinyl that's really pretty. And it is time to pick a winner. So what I have done is I have literally typed out the username for everybody who left a comment on the video as instructed. And the only other requirement was, folks had to be subscribed to the channel. So yeah, we've got almost 100 entries. I've got a random number generator set up here. So I'm just going to hit the button, see what number comes up, and that will correspond to a name. The winner will post a follow-up comment to the comment that you left on episode 125 saying, hey, congratulations, contact me at, this manner. And I will hook you up with the album, and Marty will hook you up with the Heavy Metallurgy t-shirt as promised too. So, Marty, you got a kind of drum roll sound effect over there on the switchboard or anything?
No.
Gee, thanks. All right. Well, let's hit the big button and see. Random number is 74. All right. Let's see what screen username was number 74 on the list. 74 is, let's see, Thomas Shanning. All right. Thomas Shanning, if you're watching or listening, congratulations. You have just won our Heavy Metallurgy giveaway. I will hop over into episode 125 and follow up comment with Thomas. Then he can contact me and you, and Thomas will get your prize in the mail as soon as we can. So congratulations to Thomas Shanning on the win.
And I just checked Hattori, Hanzo, and this is not true. It's up. It's still up. So I don't know what's up with that, but the episode is still up.
Okay, I'm not sure why it's not showing up for you, Hattori, but yeah, it's been up all week because I've checked back regularly to keep updating this list of folks who had entered the giveaway because I didn't want to have to do it all at once.
Right. Well, cool. And for everybody that's new to the channel, thanks for joining us. Hopefully you stick around, participate in the chat. Pretty cool community here. We have a good time. Lots of stuff going on every week. But without further ado, we should probably get our waiting guest back up here with us.
Yes, Seagull is wondering who our guest is tonight, and we do have a guest.
We do have a guest, and Roger returns his third time on Heavy Metallurgy from the mighty north of Scandinavia. Welcome, Roger. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you so much for coming back on.
Roger and Jurgen are both of the same sick mind that staying up all night is somehow cool. I mean, I do it too, I guess. So I get it, but we really appreciate you coming around. It's always a lot of fun, and it's good to see you. A lot of stuff going on in your channel.
Yeah,
there's an update just the other day. What's been going on with that?
What do you say? No, what?
I said, what's been going on with your channel? I noticed you have a new video pop up yesterday, day before.
Yeah, that was 3 pieces of death metal that I picked up, and also did a longer video with my World Dane collection, and that was kind of inspired when you guys and Jeff did that deep dive of Nevermore and Sanctuary, and I had some stuff that you didn't have, so I just showed my whole collection of Sanctuary, Nevermore, and Serpent Knight.
Yes, yep, the old demo stuff. Very cool.
So that's kind of what I've been doing, and I had a black metal as well, black metal episode before that. So
God, I think I didn't see the Sanctuary one, and I didn't see the one that popped up today or yesterday. I've been busy, so I'll have to definitely catch up this weekend.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And anybody, if you're not familiar with Roger's channel, please go click on it and link in the description. Let's get him up. And what subs are you at? Let's get you up over 1,000.
I think it was 912 the last time I saw, so it's been climbing steadily this year. So
nice,
yeah,
good. Yep, frequency helps. The algorithm likes it for sure.
Yeah.
But
I see Pieface is waking as well. So Simon over at England. So
he
right?
may or may not be saying you are a vampire. So
entirely possible. Well, it's good to see you, and it was a short notice thing, of course, because Alan likes to plan things in advance. I like to just say, "Holy crap, it's Thursday, it's Wednesday. I better get somebody, reach out to somebody here." But what's up, Chromie? Good to see you. Hello.
hey,
So yeah, we have a pretty fun and easy topic tonight because none of us had time for any homework. So we're going to be showing. It's been a while. It's been about a month since we've done a What's Spinning. So I guess it's a good time to catch up and maybe get some stuff filed away. Don't you think?
definitely so.
yeah.
Right on. Well, I got a pile of stuff here. I'm sure Roger does as well. So we're going to start off with you, sir.
Yeah, well, the fun thing was right before you sent me the mail, I had just put away all my stuff that I.
Oh, crap.
So I had to kind of get it out again. But yeah, we can start with the new Sautinus, The Storm Within, Danish Death Doom legends that are back with a new album. It's been quite a while since the last one, so yeah, it's pretty good. Kind of the vocals are a little bit more. Yeah, it's not so powerful that it was back in the days, but still have those nice melody lines that he always have. So yeah, it's a pretty good album, but it's their least best to say that, but still enjoy it a lot. So if you're in the mood for some slow music, this is a nice one to pick up this year.
Nice. I've never even heard of it.
I came out a couple of months ago. So
all right.
Yeah, maybe I saw something about it when it came out, but I never actually checked it out. But it rings a little bell. Yeah,
they were pretty big in that scene back in the 90s. So it's cool when they come back and do good music still. So yeah.
Good job, Mike. More people, if you're new to this channel, go check out Roger's site, please. Go sub and check out Chromium Dioxide Radio as well. I've been actually this week, I don't have any copies of the stuff, but I got turned on to that guy in the band's web vlog, and I've been listening to a lot of Monogam.
Oh yeah.
Some it's a little cheesy, but man, I like it. They do a really good job mixing the styles and good stuff. I don't know. I'm probably gonna start buying
There's
that
a couple of great albums there back in the Vredenstid and yeah, I don't remember the titles of Vargsten and
yeah, I used to have the one with the wolf on it, the one with the troll smashing the church, and then I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go listen to these. I went to grab them, of course they're not there. I'm like, damn it, I must have gave them away or something.
Did you check in the metal church section of your shelf?
Damn it. It's a good idea. Maybe they're just maybe I just can't spell,
We all misfile things sometimes.
Oh boy. Yep. All right. Roger got us rolling. And Alan, what's going on with you?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, just still saying hello to folks in the chat over here. Ash just joined. Good to see you in the chat tonight, Ash. And thank you to everybody else who is tuning in. We've already got over 50 people hanging out. Hope everyone's had a good week, and yeah, just here to check out some fun stuff. I know I've been spending tons and tons of crap over the past couple of months, so I actually kind of had to whittle the list down a little bit. But one I've been playing in recent days, it's always kind of a fun one to revisit, is Abysmal Grief. This is Italian doom metal. You can pretty much figure that out very quickly just based on the logo and the look of the cover shot. This is their third album. I always stumble over the pronunciation. It's Ferretri, which basically means coffin. It's pretty much exactly what you want from this kind of horror themed Doom. They have sort of like a keyboard organ sound in the background. It's got that kind of creepy Halloween church sound to it. Vocals are pretty deep, getting into like a little bit of death metal-ish territory, but still pretty clear. Most of the songs, pretty mid-paced, has a really crushing guitar sound. The guitar sound is what really drives the whole thing. Very crunchy, very rumbly, but very kind of warm at the same time. So yeah, excellent guitar tone throughout. Very solid album when you're in the mood for this thing. If I have a complaint, it's that the songs they all do kind of pace the same way. So you've always got kind of the creepy Halloween organ bouncing in the background, and you have the deep vocals on all of the songs going at the same pace. But it's still a very fun listen. They've done a bunch of albums. This is the only one I've picked up. Some of the other, it's a little hard to find their stuff. It seems like every album got released on a different label to date. So it's hard to find a distro that has more than one of them at a time. But yeah, if you need a little bit of that spooky sounding Italian Doom, where it's getting, if you're not in the mood for it, you might write it off as cheesy. But I think they do a good job of kind of towing the cheese line without just fully wallowing in a big old vat of mozzarella. So very fun band. I come back to this one pretty regularly. And yes, it was, I think Kellen and Craig Zoller were the ones who kind of got me interested in that band. So cheers to those guys if they're watching or listening.
All right. Well, I've been trying to recommit to, instead of at the end of my day, just vegging off into YouTube or the television, trying to get back down and listen to records. Like I said, I've got a stack of records 2 feet thick that I haven't listened to in 2 years. Some of the records are 2 years old. It's stupid. So earlier in the week I was flipping through and I had this still sealed. Of course I own it. I've owned it on multiple formats, but I pulled the shrink off it and put it on, and every time I listen to this record I'm like, God damn it, is this my favorite Candlemass record?
It's good.
It might be. It depends on the day, and the first 4 are all pretty unbeatable. Nightfall, probably my favorite, but God, this thing coming after Ancient Dreams was kind of had an upbeat feel to it to me. And this one here, it's just dark, super sad vocal lines. And there's even a little bit of speed here and there, not blast, of course, but some double bass. I've always loved this record. It's just very dark. And it just seems like of the first 4, it's the bastard child of the bunch. No one really talks about this one, which is a bummer. True. Because it's really great. It still holds up. I like it better than Ancient Dreams. It might be my favorite depending on the day. And this week I've said it a bunch of times. Is this my favorite Candlemass record? It might be, but yeah, it's cool to. I haven't spun this since we did the Candlemass dive. So I mean, when did we do that last year? It's been a while.
It's been over a year. Yeah, we did that one with Jurgen. I want to say maybe like last spring. So it's been a bit.
But it was good to revisit this one, and a lot of love for it for sure. Great. If you're not familiar with Tales of Creation, definitely go check it out. Ouch.
Yep. All right. You're right. That one doesn't get a lot of love sometimes, and it should.
It's so good.
The instrumental that ends side A is just mind-blowingly good. It's Into the Unfathomed Tower. It's divided up like into 7 parts. It's 2 minutes, and it's them just like going like almost like speed metal, total guitar solo frenzy. It's awesome.
Yep. All right, you are back, Roger.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite Candlemass album.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's
The debut has got the classics. Nightfall is just utterly groundbreaking Doom. Really, it's so.
Yeah, but it's kind of a little bit unfinished, a little bit kind of rough. I think the songwriting special is kind of more, in a way, mature, and the song structures in a way are more kind of where they went further on. I feel that's kind of a album that sets the pace for them going forward.
Yeah,
I
Ancient
love
Dreams. I love that, but it just his voice is too with the riffs, you know.
Yeah. It's just following,
Yeah.
like cheating.
Yeah.
So sometimes I need to go back and listen to this one.
I've
My
never
favorite,
heard that album. Never heard that.
my
album.
favorite Accept album.
I've been playing that this week too. That's a great album.
Yeah. So it's just when I have listened to a lot of death metal and black metal, Accept is one of those bands that I kind of go back to kind of clear out the heavy stuff.
A
So
good
is that-
palate cleanse.
Is that before or after Balls to the Wall? Before?
this
Right-
is the
right
album after.
After. Okay.
And the title song here is kind of more of a epic, almost like a power metal song, So it's kind of a step forward in songwriting, a little bit more. You could say it's a little bit more cheesy because there's more like these choruses and more like epic stuff here. But it's absolute killer tracks. I love all the songs here, and it is better production on it as well. So it's been this, and I'm going to show another Accept album later. So, my favorite Accept, and you should have this, Marty.
I only have 3 Accept records. I got Balls to the Wall, I've got Restless and Wild, and I've got the glamish metal one after Udo left. But it's not bad. What the something
Eat the Heat.
Eat the Heat.
Eat the Heat. Yeah. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's all right.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, but it's kind of the vocalist is wrong. So
Yeah.
it's kind of that. So Marty was tired of us, so he just left. And
Oops. I
Maybe
hit
he
the wrong
went to get a
button.
copy of Metal Heart right away.
Yeah, I did. Yep. Right on.
So, the only blemish maybe on that one, the glaring problem is the screaming for a love bite track.
yeah, it's cheesy,
It
cheesy
is,
as F, but I kind of like it anyway.
Having a metal song about hickeys is a little goofy. Although, going back to Pie Face's comment, if you really are a vampire, you would kind of enjoy neck bites. So
Exactly.
Pie Face may be onto something here.
He-
Keep
he
an eye
knows
on
what-
him, Marty.
Yeah,
Pull your
he
collar
knows what he's talking about. So.
Right.
Just to be safe.
All right. Alan.
All right. Pulled this one off the shelf maybe a week ago. Just hadn't played it in forever. It's like, let's dust it off. Give it a spin. Why not? It is Corrosion of Conformity with Wise Blood. This is their 96 album. Came after Deliverance. They're very much into kind of the southern fuzzy mid 90s kind of metal sound by this point. Some people like this phase of the band's history. Some people don't. I'm fine with it. It's not something I play a ton, but this and Deliverance, good albums. They do get a spin from time to time. It opens up good. It's got King of the Rotten's really good. Manor Ash is the real heavy stomper on here. It's a fun listen. If you know what Corrosion sounds like from the mid 90s, there's no surprises here really. If I've got to nitpick the album, it's too long at 13 songs and 50 plus minutes. They could have, it's a pig album. You should be trimming the fat off anyway. So, they could have trimmed this down to maybe like 48 minutes, 10 songs most, and it probably would play through a little better. But it's not like there's any really dud songs on it. It just gets a little long in the tooth going through that long. But I still like this phase of the band's history. It's not for everyone, but I can dig it from time to time.
All right. I got a couple packages today. I'm going to address both of them. This one first, because I'm doing vinyl first. I got another package from Jacob from the Upside Down Church the other day. Well, today. And it was this. Halloween's Pink Bubbles Go Ape. The anniversary album. It's pink and black splatter.
That's kind of cool.
This is cool.
Yep.
Listening to it, I haven't listened to this album in a while. And man, the songs on here I really like. And there's just a lot of not so good songs on here. But Kids of the Century, Back on the Streets, great songs. Heavy Metal Hamsters is stupid, but an okay song. The Chance. I mean,
That's
there's
a
some
good
good
one.
songs on here, but there are cracks. There are cracks in the armor. You could tell they were trying some new things, which I can appreciate. But there's just some goofy stuff on here. Kiska's got more songwriting credits on here, which might be kind of showing what's to come. Which hopefully in about 500 more subs. We will share with you the professor's reaction to listening to that album. But
Spoiler alert, it's not going to be a good reaction.
oh, it's going to be fun. I'm going to love it. But yeah, yep, been listening. I listened to that today. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Jacob, for sending that. You're too kind.
Yeah, that's neat. That's a really cool vinyl pressing of it.
It is totally nice.
Yeah,
Super.
the fact that they did go ahead and put it on pink vinyl is a yes. That's the way you do it, folks. Absolutely.
Yep. Roger.
Yeah.
Everybody's 21 minutes in for a Halloween
was shocked
mention.
about that colored version. I just, yeah.
I know you're not a fan.
I prefer my vinyl black, so got a pink splatter vinyl. Yeah. Serpents of Old, with the album Ensemble Under the Dark Sun. This is a band from Turkey, out on Transcending Obscurity, so you get this glary, cool looking CD. I'm not buying vinyl from them anymore because of the coloring that they do, because they are pretty wild. This is kind of a slightly blackened death metal, or Black Death, you could say. Pretty heavy riffing, really cool. A lot of cool riffs here, and just it is kind of in a vein of Ruins of Bevrast, I would say. Not totally that dark, but has that kind of same dragging riffing on it. So it's a pretty cool album, and been playing this a lot. So I don't know if the kind of the head of the snake is popping out. So they do a lot of cool stuff with their covering and embossed stuff. So yeah, it's a cool album.
Nice.
So,
I should take notes, because you're going to probably show a bunch of stuff. I always learn something new on your channel every time. Like, I never heard of that.
Yeah.
I think I try to keep in touch with shit, and it just doesn't. I'm not. It's not even close.
But that's the same with every channel. There's so much stuff coming out. It's impossible to keep up. So,
all right, Ellen.
All right. Yeah. Let's go to a vinyl one. This one goes out to Frank, who is in the chat. Frank's got very deep knowledge on a lot of 80s metal. Picked this up a while back, and it's a band it's close to his heart. This is Deuce. It's a collection of their early material. This is the band that Marty Friedman got his start with back in the late 70s and earliest 80s. This is when he was still... Yeah, this is before. Yeah, and eventually, exactly. Yes, Marty, of course, would relocate to Hawaii and play with Aloha and Vixen and Hawaii and Cacophony, and eventually end up in some thrash band with a redheaded singer. I forget who
whines a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the early days for him. None of their stuff ever got released when he was in the band. After he left, the band eventually made a single, but he didn't appear on the single. These are the demos that predate even the single by Deuce. It's on Opium Records, which was a small label out of Georgia. They kind of specialized in finding this kind of stuff. They wanted to go find demos and recorded material by bands that never officially got a release. It just kind of sat there on tape collecting dust. And it was just kind of fortuitous. They knew a guy who knew a guy who knew Marty. Marty, so this was, sanctioned and approved by Friedman. He's like, yeah, absolutely. If they're interested in putting it out, let's do it. And the guys have been thinking about getting their label started, but they wanted a good release to begin with. They're like, this kind of fell in our lap. We've got Marty Friedman's first demos. Yeah, we'll release that. Thank you very much. So yeah, this got pressed up in '97. Doesn't turn up a whole lot these days. But it's really good material. And considering the date that this stuff was being recorded in 79 and 80, it's relatively heavy. It could stand toe to toe with any of the new wave of British heavy metal stuff that was already coming out. And again, that's kind of the earliest new wave of British heavy metal phase. So kind of cool to hear what they sounded like in those early days. It comes with a couple of inserts that gives a little bit of band history stuff. They're not written by Friedman. They're written by other people that, knew the band or were associated with them or played with them at times. They kind of follow the typical trajectory of lots of these bands. They, crazy kids, party a lot, drink a lot, practice, play a lot. They did eventually get a record deal as they were recording. Literally while in the studio recording the record, they had to change their name from Deuce to Tension because they found out Deuce was already copyrighted by some other band. The Tension album called Breaking Point, I think, it's awesome. A very good album. It's another one. I should have pulled it out to show as well. It's a really solid kind of mid 80s US power metal album. But I was really happy to finally pick up a copy of this. I'd had this on like MP3 files. Somebody dubbed or burned a copy of it for me years ago, but I never had tracked it down until recently. So yeah, a cool slice of heavy metal history with Marty Friedman turning out some very heavy stuff for the early US metal scene way back in 79 and 80.
Jurgen is asking if Tom Gaddis from Tension is in Deuce.
Gaddis, I don't remember if he is on this one or not, Jurgen. I will check while Marty shows his next one. Again, I know they had members come and go, but I don't remember when Gaddis was or wasn't in the band. But I shall find out for you real quick.
All right. I showed this a couple Wednesdays ago on the album club, but Mike sent it in and I've been spinning it quite regularly. It's his old band, Donna Orion. This is a Celestial Ballad. This is their collective works, their career discography, I guess. So this has a demo, a full-length album, and a 7-inch on here, plus 3 tracks that were never released. And Mike Seatown, if you're not familiar, I'm sure if you watch this, you are. He's awesome. He's got a great channel. Go check him out. This band was really good. Really, really good. And what did I have? The 7-inch and the demo. I never had the full length. But I could see why early 2000s, these guys might have struggled a bit in Atlanta, Georgia, for the fact that they're playing a lot of hardcore shows, and they don't really sound very hardcore. I hear Slayer riffs. I hear Swedish Melodeath riffs in here. Mike's vocals, the harsh screaming. He just sounds feral. Just a great screaming voice. His voice is probably the most hardcore shot you're going to get. But man, I just really like the songwriting on here. It's good, solid riffs. The songs are well done. The structures rise and fall in the right spots. It's just really well done, and this packaging is great. You remember the label, Alan? So I don't have to tear this apart. No.
Let me check for you real quick. It's one I'm not familiar with. I will pull it up for you while you continue.
I can't read. I'm blind. It's dark in here. My eyes are shot. But no, I mean, Alan's going to give us the name of the label, but
it's Immigrant Sun.
Yep.
SUN.
2 LP set. Comes with a download code, a booklet with a bunch of pictures, all the lyrics. Really cool. And go support Seatown. He's part of the community. He's a great guy. And this band ripped. They're really, really, really good. People want to call it metalcore, but man, I don't know. I'm hearing more metal than core. It's just, what do you think, Alan?
Same here. Yeah. My copy just arrived a few days ago, and yeah, kind of the same. If you just look at the band pictures, yes, the guys look like, they would have been part of the hardcore scene. But musically, it's really not. It's kind of hard to place. I mean, it owes a little bit to stuff like, In Flames and At the Gates to an extent. It's very good. I'd heard some of it before, which is why as soon as I knew it was coming out, I picked up a copy. But yeah, it's very hard to pin down and make comparisons to. Mike's vocals are really, really cool sounding. You described them well. His lyrics are really, really good. It comes with a nice booklet with lyrics to all the songs. So if you sit down and read through them, it's like, damn, this is actually, pretty cool stuff. And yeah, the band is pretty tight behind them. There's not a lot of soloing or anything that goes on with it. They just kind of keep the songs chugging along pretty well. So yeah, it's something I don't have a really great comparison to. And
the songwriting is just solid, though. Solos or not,
yeah.
and you would think, Logan's asking, are there breakdowns? The breakdowns are not obvious. They're not like the
No.
tip. It's just well written metal. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't like breakdowns or hardcore. I like both of those things, but I'm more of a metal guy than a hardcore guy. My knowledge of that is very minimal. But these guys were just solid.
Yeah.
They ripped. They were great.
Yeah.
It's cool this collection came out.
Yeah, there's a couple of points where you can kind of just like, okay, this would probably be the breakdown section that would appeal to the hardcore kids in the audience, but it's, yeah, like you said, it's kind of subtle. It's not just, blatant, okay, now we're going to do hardcore for 2 minutes. It's worked into the metal side of the band really nicely. And yeah, for anybody that's interested, I'm sorry, Roger, it comes on 2 different colored variants of vinyl. One of them I will say is very cool because the band obviously kind of plays on the Orion constellation angle a bit.
Dawn of Orion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one of the variants has like kind of has like that purplish nebula color to it, but it's got little specks, like very bright specks sprinkled in, so that it actually kind of looks like stars sprinkled around within the vinyl. It kind of fits the theme of the band name and the cover art really nice. So yeah, I just thought it was, in terms of packaging, it was something really cool. The only thing it's missing, I wish they had some liner notes, just a little like brief history of the band to fill in a little bit of like what their influences were and what they were aiming for. The booklet's nice, but it really just has credits and song lyrics. It doesn't really give you like any, biography on the band. It would have been nice, but you can't have everything.
Well, you'll be seeing Mike again. He'll be coming back around here, these parts again in October, it sounds like. So we'll get something figured out and he'll be back joining us. Roger, you're back.
Yeah. When it comes to colors, if it's tied in with the cover, or that's then it's okay. But there's so much money, like brainless colors thrown out there with vinyls that I've kind of just gotten sick of it. So that's
I understand.
Yeah. It's just like if they have a thought about around the color compared to the cover and stuff like that, I'm okay with colors, but yeah. My most played album this year by far, and going to be high on my list, is Dead Chasm, Sublimis Ignotum Omni, which is Latin for something. Italian 3-piece.
Can I leave the coffee pot on? I think that's what that means.
No, actually, ironically enough, the Latin translation is something.
Yeah, something. So this is a 3-piece from Italy, female vocalist guitarist. I did pick up their EP a couple of years ago, and I was not aware that it was a female vocalist. She has a monstrous set of lungs, great deep vocals, very kind of straightforward death metal, but it's kind of a little bit occult feeling to it. Very. It's just very the feeling of the album is just hitting the spot for me. It's an album that I listen to a lot and still pull it out regularly because it's just a fantastic death metal album. And as I said, the vocals I hear are kind of sinister and very juicy vocals as well. And I was kind of surprised when I saw a music video and it was a female guitar player and a vocalist, because I was sure that was a guy who normally you can hear the difference between female death vocals and male vocals, but not on this one. They're just
super sick, but they typically have a higher register.
Yeah. So, but on this one, had no idea. So it was very cool. And to do that, I've seen some live shows and she played guitar and do those vocals. It's just, I'm very impressed by this band, and they just hit the spot when I do like to get some death metal. There is no nonsense. It's very kind of, in a way, catchy without being catchy, if you understand. And yeah, it's a killer album, and will be very high on my list for this year. So Dead Chasm.
Another one I have not heard of.
Yeah. I've already written down half the things Roger has said, so I've got the pencil and paper going tonight.
All right. Professor Steele.
All right. So, band I'd been meaning to get back around to and finally did, and enjoying them quite a bit once again. Psychotic Waltz. This was a band that Sue Verica had talked to Marty and I about doing a deep dive episode on a while back.
How many albums they have?
Only 5.
Because I've heard none of them.
Then you would have 5 albums.
If you said 25, I'd be like, I'm feeling a little sick on that day. Yeah.
Nope,
Anyway.
just 5 albums. But about the time we were talking to Sue about it, Hunter and Jeff over at Radical Research put out an episode on Psychotic Waltz. So we've kind of put that on the back burner. We'll revisit it down the road. We didn't want to release our episode right after Hunter and Jeff did. Anyway, really cool, interesting band that is another one that's kind of hard to pin down. They have a little bit, it's a US band. They have a little bit of a US power metal sound. There's proggy elements, but they're not a Dream Theater type prog. They're not a prog rock act whatsoever. So it's this kind of weird little, there's this tiny little section in the Venn diagram somewhere where these things start to meet up, and Psychotic Waltz lives in that little space almost by themselves. It's a very unique sound, but very good. Very talented musicians. They have a good vocalist. Really well put together lyrics. If I know some people don't pay a lot of attention to the lyrics, but these guys write very similar to the way like John Arch writes lyrics, where there's often like he'll use 3 rhyming words in like 1, 2, 3 lines. So the rhyme scheme becomes like A. Or even within a single line, they'll have like a word in the middle of the line will rhyme with the word at the end of the line, so that they get this very strong kind of rhythmic flow to the music. But in the background, the music it's very tight. It's not like a mastodon where you feel like they're all over the place sometimes, but there's a lot of moving parts happening in the background too. So yeah, very unique band, not in a strange way, not in an odd, what the hell are they doing way, just in this is really well done and very thoughtfully put together way. Anyway, this is their 5th and most recent album. It's called The God-Shaped Void. Has some great artwork from Travis Smith. I'm not always huge on Travis's artwork, but I really love what he did for this one. And it was the first album they had released in like 24 years. They were mainly a 90s band, and being a US, metal band in the 90s, playing this kind of like slightly traditional, slightly power, slightly prog stuff, they had very little audience. I checked out some of their records back then. They were always kind of hard to get. It was another one of those deals where you had to import it. But yeah, they bounced back in, pretty sure this one came out in 2019. Copyright's 2020, but it might have been a late 2019 release. And it sounds really good once again. It's got a very solid production. It's very loud, but very warm feeling. The music's got, the backline has a pretty heavy chug to it. Not in a Pantera or breakdown way, just that, it's got a very heavy beat, but, with all these great vocals and guitar parts spliced together around that rhythm. So yeah, I was really pleased. This is one I didn't get right away when it came out, because again, me and comeback albums, I'm always a little worried about what the heck the band. 24 years later, you don't know what the hell they're going to do. And what they did is pretty amazing. Sounds great. If you kind of liked the band's 90s stuff and you missed this one, I'd say go out and pick it up. It's not too hard to track down this one, thankfully. And yeah, the band still sounds absolutely great. Psychotic Waltz with The God-Shaped Void.
All right. Okay. Well, it's going to be about that time of year where the Manila Road phase is about to hit and take over my life for about 2 months. I just picked this for the album club this coming Wednesday. Spoiler alert. This album is amazing. Absolutely.
Marty stuck his head out the window and saw his shadow, so now it's 3 more months of Shelton.
It is. Yes. And I'm glad I picked this one because it's not proggy at all. No prog. I'll save my words for that one, but I also picked this one up, which came out right around that one, Gates of Fire. I need a new bag on this. It's ripped, but it's very much in line with Atlantis Rising. People just don't really have a ton of love for the Reunion Manila Road, which is a bummer because it's really good. I mean, the songwriting is solid. A lot of simplistic, just heavy riffs, but the soloing, the vocals, the melodies, Beyond the Veil, very somber 12-string acoustic guitar number with Shelton sounding like a crippled wizard, warbling over the top of it. God, it's just so good. I love it. And I love this band. They're one of my favorites. Halloween's up there, Manila Road's up there. If you're not familiar with Gates of Fire or Atlantis Rising, you should be doing your homework and listening to Atlantis Rising so you can hang out in the chat with us come Wednesday and hear me defend this album to TJ, who is still petting hairless cats in a sweater while listening to proggy crap records. But, I digress. Anyway, Roger.
Yeah, this is a new one as well. This is Serpent Corpse. A lot of people have been showing this. Blood Sabbath. Canadian death metal band, old school sounding. Really, this is an album that kind of instantly grabbed me and was just kind of very familiar, old school. Have this, I would say, Autopsy drumming on it without sounding like Autopsy, musically. Also thrash riffs here and there. And there are some kind of stuff that when the riff comes on, you turn up the volume instantly. You just want to blast that in your speakers. And seeing this quite a bit in the vinyl or metal community now showed. So a really good album, and I don't know if it will hold up, but for now it's just like you get those riffs that you just want to play loud in a way. So the vocals are kind of not deep, but they're pretty clear death vocals as well. So very good album, at least for now. I don't know if it will hold up, but it's very kind of instant, an instant like for me. So been playing that a lot.
So imagine yourself 2 years down the road. It's sitting on the shelf next to You Will Never See. What would you pick? You Will Never See or that record?
I would probably pick You Never See because that's one of my favorite of Grave. But if this is sitting near to Wild with Cannibal Corpse or something, I would pick this one. So it's kind of, for now, I don't know. We will see at the end year list if it's in there.
And that's the trick. I mean, right now we're in these times. It's hard to see these newer bands how they're going to hold up. Are they going to be the next talk just as fondly as Grave or Unleashed or Entombed? Probably not, but you never know. It's too early to tell for sure.
Yeah.
Alan.
All right. I'll pick another kind of old school one here. Folks that watched Marty and my little impromptu video last Tuesday where we did some unboxing. This is something that came out of the box from Dwayne. So again, Dwayne, thanks very much. Been enjoying checking stuff out. One of the first ones I gravitated to start spinning was this one, Elixir with the Son of Odin. This came out in '86 originally. Elixir was a new wave of British heavy metal band. They came in kind of, a little bit in the later parts. They did make a single, which came out in '85, I believe. So, 85-ish, you're really pushing it for a lot of folks. There are some folks by then that have already kind of closed the door and locked it and turned off the lights on the whole new wave of British heavy metal thing. But you did have some good bands turn up there at the end. Virtue was one of them, and Elixir was another one. Desolation Angels was also active in those later years. But yeah, hard album to track down the original of. I never have, so really cool to have this nice vinyl reissue of it. Hadn't heard it for a very long time. I've got it on MP3s, but I don't always dig around on the computer. It's easy to lose track of those things. I remembered it being, pretty good. and it's actually better than I remember. Paul Taylor's a great vocalist, really nice voice, smooth delivery. A lot of their songs have a little bit of like kind of maybe historical fantasy kind of references and things. There's a song about Pandora's box, a song about Odin, Thor, that kind of stuff, and he's got that kind of really strong storytelling voice, and the guys musically can back it up just fine. So yeah, Elixir always bugged me because I could not track down their original vinyl stuff to save my life. But really cool to have a nice reissue of. This was the only LP they made in their original run. The band has gotten back together. Well, no, I'm wrong about that. They did make a second album. I don't think I've ever heard the second one. I forget about it. But they are active these days and putting stuff out. And multiple people have sung the praises of that. I think it was Andy over on his channel had kind of talked about all the Elixir albums a while back and kind of got me thinking about them again. So it was really cool to see these in the surprise box that Dwayne sent over. And I've been enjoying rediscovering the Son of Odin.
All right. Dwayne sent this. I listened to it once this week. I still don't know where I stand on it, although I liked it. It's the Eliminator record, Last Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the cover of this thing. I don't know, the color scheme, the flow, the composition, or whatever. I don't know. It is traditional heavy metal, more or less. And nothing really jumped off the page at me as being super blow me away exceptional, but solid. I liked it. I need to spend a little more time with this. I just wanted to say I did listen to it. And have you spun this one yet, Alan?
Yes, I played it. I think I've only spun it once, but yeah.
Are you kind of on the same page as me with this? I mean, I liked it. I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Yeah, it strikes me as like a very kind of solid and typical British traditional metal offering, where again, pretty good vocals, nothing too heavy in terms of nothing too heavy, nothing too fast, nothing too soft. It just kind of it sits right there, kind of in the middle pocket. But yeah, it was a good first listen.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I didn't take it off or move to something else. I did like it. All right, Roger.
Yeah, preparing for my World Dane video, I had to revisit this Serpent Knight, compilation, Silent Night of My Myth and Destiny. Has it's a 2-disc version. You have one disc with the World Dane stuff and one disc with a different vocalist that came on later, which is not so interesting, but that's just me. Kind of I would say they are King Diamond, Merciful Fate inspired in their music in a way, and also World Dane's vocal is very high. It's not high pitch, but it's very high and light, a little bit like King Diamond. He kind of stays there all the time, and it's a little bit too much, but you can hear his potential. And but the guitar player here forced him to take some singing lessons, and it's a pretty cool booklet with liner notes, as Alan said. On the other album, it's very cool when you get the reissue and you get stories behind it. So it's quite a good read actually to get into how they live their life. I mean, some wild stories here, and it would be nice to have this on kind of a better production or kind of a proper studio, because it's pretty good music wise as well. And even though the vocals are a little bit too much, it's a pretty good listen. And the next vocalist was not near World Dane in quality, so kind of not listen so much to that one. But I do kind of revisit this once a year just to remind myself of it.
Yeah, it's a cool collection. You're right. It's a shame it doesn't have a little better sound quality.
Yeah.
But the stories in the booklet are pretty good. Apparently, the Serpent Knight house in the greater Seattle area was like the insane party house of all the metal band houses around at the time. That they were just really over the top nuts.
Hey, all right. I'm glad you checked out that Witherscape. A lot of people talk down on Witherscape. I like that. I thought it was really good.
Witherscape is good.
I don't know what the hate was for, but I always dug it. Heavy as hell. Some opathisms going on in it. It's good. Alan.
Okay. Let's see. Wound Man just mentioned he's been on kind of a King Diamond Merciful Fate kick. I've had a little bit of that in rotation as well, so let's go with that one. Picked up the reissue of Return of the Vampire here locally at one of the record stores. Really nice collection.
It is.
I had a CD of it. It's one of the only old school Merciful Fate related things that I didn't have on vinyl. And again, local store had it. It was fairly priced. I'm fine picking up the new version of it. Always liked this collection. For folks, if they're not familiar, it came out later after the band had already, of course, faded out. But it's got very strong track list on it, and some of the songs are kind of like earlier renditions of songs that would later appear on one of the first two albums under different names and stuff. For example, you have Death Kiss, Leave My Soul Alone. You asked for it. All of these got reworked a bit, but these early versions are really good too. They're still working out parts of them. They're still working on the lyrics and such. But it's really interesting to hear the early takes. Now, interestingly, the vinyl reissue, it doesn't come with any liner notes. The old CD pressing I've got has like a little, like a short paragraph blurb about each song and, kind of where the band was at in that case. I think those liner notes were written by King. I could be wrong. I didn't pull it off the shelf to double check. So it is missing, that part of it, but it's still a really good listen. And of course, you really can't top, early vintage Merciful Fate. That's about as good as it gets right there. So, it's nice to have this just to kind of, fill in that one little slot amongst my other Merciful Fate vinyl that I didn't have a copy of this one.
It is in that, is that You, Melissa songs has Lars Ulrich playing drums on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. For anybody that didn't know that. Not that it matters, but okay. I showed this the other day when Dwayne sent these in, but man, this Chilean thrash band Apostasy, holy crap.
Yeah.
I was really, 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 really surprised how much I like this record. Modern thrash. It's good. It's got its place. It just doesn't have the same character as the old stuff. These guys came from the old stuff. I mean, this is an older band. I don't know if this is their latest. I did not do any research. I just rocked this thing about 3 times this week. It is solid, awesome, dark thrash, not super dark, but just really solid, well written. The vocals are right. The guitars are right. The drums are right. Everything is right on this. It doesn't sound modern. It sounds like a good production that came from the old school. I don't know. I'm really interested to check out their other stuff. Do you know how many they have, Roger? A bunch?
There's at least 3 full lengths or 4 and a couple of EPs.
Okay.
And I can help you a little bit on the way with my next one. So
all right, cool.
We can talk more about the band.
Nice.
This is the 91 Sunset of the End. This is reissued from Dark Power Records with some demo stuff and stuff like that. This is more pure thrash. The vocals are not so. It's kind of turned a little bit more blacky in his kind of, or more aggressive. Here is pure thrash. Still have the same type of riffs. I mean, it sounds the same as they do now. He hasn't lost the kind of identity of his riffing.
Nice.
I just this was kind of a random. I was listening to something to YouTube, and this popped up like a suggestion, and I thought it looked cool and checked it out. And probably 15 years ago or something like that, and got my hands first on a CD or an old tape. I don't know if it's original or it's a bootleg. I don't know, and picked up also a CD special edition from a Chilean label as well. So I forgot to pull that out because it's pretty cool. But it's just a very good thrash, and a little bit too late to the party because it's kind of I would say more 87 thrash than 91 thrash. Very much more towards like the I don't know, creator, but still have that South American feel to it as they still have. So yeah, it's a great album, and all their stuff is very good. It's a quality band, and it's kind of cool that they came back and had the same identity. I don't know, it's just old riffs that they had laying around, but it sounds great still. So yeah, it's a one of those bands that haven't done anything bad at all, and I don't think you can go wrong with any of Apostasy's releases.
It's just really cool to be, our age. We were around in the earlier when all this thrash stuff was happening. We were young, but it was there happening. We were part of it. And it's just cool to still find these bands that were around then and still be surprised and still be impressed. It's cool. It's those hidden gems, but I don't think that like Chile was kind of getting their stuff out there at that time. I mean, I'm a big fan of Chilean metal, so I have a solid bunch of them. So yeah, it's just the feel of they kind of have this aggression that are as a kind of a South American way of playing thrash. It's just hitting the spot. Awesome. Yeah, it was a good surprise for me. Very cool. I'll have to check that one out too. Alan.
Yeah, I need to catch up on some more of the Chilean thrash stuff. The one or two I've heard on Kellen's recommendations have been really, really good. Okay, let's see. This is another one I just picked up at a local store. It's not a metal album, but I always kind of liked it and never had picked up a copy. So I found a nice reissue. It's a 45 Grave with Sleep in Safety. This is a kind of classic death rock from the early 80s, going for, kind of, the gothic vibe pretty heavily. They were kind of, relatively well known in those circles. A California band. Great band photo. They very much went for all the theatrical stuff. So Roger, more vampire love for you here tonight. Absolutely. Some fun stage names. You've got Rob Graves sitting down there on the tombstone. Front woman Dinah Cancer. But yeah, they. It's like, hey, if you're going to be cheesy, and you might as well go all in on it, and they sure did with this photo. Even I forget who it is back there, kind of creeping behind the tombstone. The guy in the middle posing in pants that look like they're about a size 2. He's probably still wearing those because I don't think there's any getting them off. Regardless, though, file this, with all of your early 80s, gothic death rock kind of stuff. A little bit of Christian Death, a little bit of Bauhaus. It's got a little bit of a punky edge, at times, but it's not like full-on hardcore music or anything like that. It's a little bit cheesy, but also not bad. It's not like it's not a total novelty, record or anything like that. Some fun liner notes, just some promotional stuff they did. At one point, to introduce members of the band, they actually wrote fake obituaries for each one of them, where they're all, killed and, decapitated in various odd and gruesome ways. So again, just kind of, playing into the shtick quite a bit on it. But yeah, if they've recorded some other stuff here and there, don't know their catalog well at all. For some reason, this was one of those albums I came across a long time ago. I think somebody probably sent it to me, like a tape trading. And so it was just always in the background that's kind of a cool album. I'll keep an eye out for it. And lo and behold, there's a nice reissue of it out. Local record store had it. And brought it on home. Not something I want to play very often. But when I'm in the mood, it's definitely, kind of a fun listen if you like that early stuff. A little bit to one other reference would be like TSOL when they got into like their Dance With Me phase, once they got, or the Weathered Statues, that kind of era from TSOL. So yeah, 45 Grave, Sleep in Safety. always seemed like a strange title for the album. I'm not sure they're sleeping or safe, but whatever.
All right. Well, this album came out in 2019. My buddy Jan from Volgaflüster, his 5th album, Mondschein Sonaten, which, now I sound German. I mean, I'm ready. Look out, Europe. I'm coming. I'm busting out some shit, some lingo.
I have that album. I haven't played that in a long time.
You know what? This came out in 2019. I just listened to it this week. We put out their 3rd album, Meine Fesseln. And I love this band. I just had never gotten around to this. It got filed in the deep stack that just, you always check out the new shit. You get like, oh, this, I want to hear this. I want to hear this. And then you forget about that, all these that have been sitting. But woodsy German black metal. Really nothing more to say. It's all sung in German. And great guy. Drank beer with him. Hung out with him. Super awesome dude. And this is a good band. This is a good German band for sure. And if you're into that post black metal stuff, this is definitely up your alley.
Don't they have a new one coming out very soon?
I don't think Jürgen was impressed.
Oh, Jürgen, just admit it. I nailed it. Come on. Should have heard the Norwegian I spoke to Roger when we were in the dugout. I saw a tear. I saw a tear form come down his face. He's like, America gets it. How'd this happen?
He's sad because now he has to invade our country to reclaim their honor.
Yeah.
Whatever you said apparently violated their constitution, and they're coming for you now, Marty.
He knew what I said, so I take that as a victory. Anyway.
Yeah, but don't they have a new album scheduled already?
It's it's an EP. It's like an EP, I believe.
Oh, okay.
They redid a song, The Pit, a Panopticon song. They made it. They took a country Panopticon song and turned it into a black metal song. Made a video out of it. It's cool. Really good stuff.
They did a split with Panopticon once upon a time too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So yeah, that kind of gives, if folks aren't familiar with them, those reference points should sort of help point you to where they're at.
Come on over. I got the beer chilled. I got the White Claws chilled. Anyway, Roger.
Yeah, going back to my World Dane video, my favorite Nevermore album, Dead Heart in a Dead World, kind of, for me, the most well-composed songs, the most kind of the variation and the balance of it. The vocals here are probably his best with Nevermore. You get some high pitching, sprinkles here and there, which is awesome. Just kind of give it the song some extra. And yeah, for me, this album is the one that I kind of. This and Godless Endeavor is kind of the album.
That's my favorite. Godless Endeavor is my favorite.
That's a killer album, but that's kind of second for me. But this album is just he kind of came back with some high pitched vocals on there, and that was kind of what I was missing for a couple of years with Nevermore. And just a killer album. And I do play this a lot. This is a returning album for me several times every year. So. Just love that album.
Yeah, that's a good one by them. That was the album that made me finally kind of be like, okay, maybe the ones before that I never had gotten into, but that album, was like, okay.
Yeah, that one before was kind of a bit too experimental in a way. I like it a lot, but it's kind of, it's a lot of too much like post intermission stuff going on there, so it's kind of they don't get it rolling as they did with Dead Heart in the Dead World. Is more kind of right in your face stuff.
All right, Alan.
All right. Been playing some stuff by this band lately, as a lot of people have. This one can't possibly go wrong or derail us. Been playing some Tomb Mold. But for now, we're going to talk about Manner of Infinite Forms, which just hadn't played in a while. And with the new album out, it's like, I should also, dust off, revisit the other ones. This is one of the albums that's like, I know it's a good album. And then I play, I was like, geez, that's a really good album.
Yeah.
it kind of, for some reason, it's one of those albums I kind of forget just how good it is. But yeah, I've been playing it on the drive back and forth to work lately. It's just, there's so many of these newer old school death metal albums that, it maybe is weird to say it. I feel like it's one of the really, really top ones that's come out in recent years in that style. Just, excellent vocals, great overall sound. It doesn't rely solely on atmosphere whatsoever. There's still, very good driving rhythms and beats and riffs and guitar work in it. It's not just we sound like we're in a cave and we're going to shy away from playing too many riffs. Doesn't sound like that. So yeah, it's been fun. When you get in this one, kind of go back up to the top of the playlist again. I need to break out Planetary Clairvoyance and give that another spin. Most folks have been concentrated on the new album that's just come out, though. There's plenty of chatter about that. I'll just stop there, and we'll see if we move on to something else or if the conversation stays for a bit.
Oh, Melanie, I have checked out their album, and it's okay. It's good. I just don't. I'm over the proggy stuff. It's like that album, Spiral Architect. I remember hearing about them back in the day, and I didn't check them out because it was prog, and I'm like, God, I just don't care. People that practice their instruments. That's lame. You don't practice, and then you write music. That's the plan. But no.
I've with this one on the new album, I've only played it a few times. I'm going to side with Melanie on this one. I actually think the new one is kind of brilliant.
It's good. I don't know.
It's wrong with that name and that music. Is kind of when they change its style a little bit. It's always difficult to, you need some time to get around to it. I think. But
I do.
But I'm with you, Marty. Still, like, I don't know yet. I have to kind of listen to it proper, but it's just the change that makes me kind of this is not what I want from Tomb Mold.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like these bands can get put in a real bind. We were joking backstage that if they had just remade Manor of Infinite Forms, you'd have a bunch of people complaining that, like, oh God, old school death metal is so overdone these days. There's too many bands. This has been going on for years.
Well,
We're kind of
that's
sick
true
of
too.
this. Move on.
It's true.
Yeah.
But then, they go and try to, it's like, okay, let's take it in a different direction. And then people get very upset. It's like, but you can't do that. It doesn't sound like the old albums did. It's got to drive bands nuts. And that you just like, no matter what we record, half of our audience is going to bitch at us. But yeah, it's and it is a tough thing to work out, all joking aside, because how long can you remake the same album? Can you stay in that zone? 2 albums, 3 albums, 4 albums? When do you push it too much and people get bored? With so many other bands out there, as soon as they're bored with you, you're toast. There's too many other things for people to focus on, and they're just like, this band's sounds like a bunch of old farts now. So it's a hard one to say. And I have to play the new one some more too. I haven't fully wrapped my head around it, but I like what I've heard so far. There is a prog parts worked into it for sure. I think it's done pretty well. I think they actually managed to splice it in with the heavier material in a pretty nice way. But we don't have to go really in depth on that one.
The new Horrendous is in the same boat for me. I mean, I listened to the album when I edited Matt's video review. Go check out the review for that on Heavy Metallurgy. But it's talented. It's good. I can listen to it and applaud him for you doing nice, fun things. But it just sounds to me like these musicians are bored. They're bored writing death metal, so they're trying to. Let me get
or they're trying to stay one step ahead of everybody else who's playing death metal because there's 500 other bands putting out the same album that they made 3 years ago.
Right.
So I don't know if it's boredom. I think, a lot of times, your real scene leaders, they will stay one step ahead of the pack. They can't just fall back and do the same thing everyone else. Everyone else is always trying to catch up to them. Yeah. They don't want everyone else, they don't want to be on the exact same level with everyone else.
I just try to wrap my head around that mentality. I mean, sitting in a rehearsal space and having the thought to yourself saying, I'm going to write something groundbreaking. I mean, that's like telling yourself that your farts smell good.
Well, but they're not necessarily trying to do that. It's more let's write something different. You know,
Yeah.
it's
But for me, it's kind of the balance. You know, for Horrendous, it's kind of a little bit too much of it, so we kind of lose the kind of songs. It's more like just floating too much. You have to have that. For me, a red thread in the song. You have to have that connection all the way. And also, the Horrendous album is I don't feel the flow through the album. You know, you have some songs here and there. The two last songs, they fit very well together, but then it's kind of a little bit here and there. And for me, that's kind of, it confuses my brain, at least, you know, even though I do love progressive technical metal done right. But if it's too much, I kind of, they kind of lost me some places, and that's bad because there's a lot of cool stuff on it. But
and I listened. There's some cool stuff on it. The problem is when the prog is hitting, the vocals maintain the death metal over the top of it. But I'm not in love with his death. His voice seems a little weak to me. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the music he's trying to empower with it.
I think it's trying to go with the music, you know, and I think the music would be better if it just pushed hard on the vocals, make the kind of the Beauty and the Beast in a way effect on it. But I mean, a lot of people love it, so
you know, and I get it. I hear death. I mean, I get the influences. I get where these guys are going. I just, you know, and I might in 2 years the light switch will come on. I'm like, oh, you know, I like it now, but it just seems, I don't know. And like people say I'm projecting, which is funny because maybe I am, and maybe I'm just trying to be the Judas here, but I don't know. There's so many people praise it. I instantly want to say, no, it sucks. Even though it doesn't suck. It's really good. I just don't, it's just not sitting with me right now. You know,
exactly.
Yeah. And I do agree with your point, Roger, too. These bands, sometimes they can drift too far away from the metal core sound and the death metal core, not like mall core.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes they do drift a little too far into it. And Horrendous has done that with me also. Like every Horrendous album, I have a little more trouble getting into than the previous one. You start with like the Chills, and I love it. And you have Ecdysis, and it's like, this is still quite good, but there's a few moments that confuse me. And every album, it feels like, they're just kind of drifting. They're a little further out in orbit, and I have a little further reaching them. But yeah, I think for now, Tomb Old, I think I like where they're at, but I get why it's, definitely got a lot of people scratching their heads. I've been trying to listen to it very closely the past few times I've played it. And like, I kind of see how they're stitching it together, and I actually kind of like what they're doing, which is strange. It's the kind of thing typically I might not like. I'm not keen on the Opeth pattern where bands want to be, very heavy, very heavy, very heavy. Now we're laid back. Very heavy, very heavy, very heavy. Now we're laid back. Usually that irritates the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But I think Tomb Old has found a way to, I think there's enough transitioning in those parts that it's not quite so jarring. But that is just my take on it as of today. We'll see where it sits once I play it some more.
And right here, Chris brings up the video I watched for the new Blood Incantation. It's the same thing. You know, you got this disjointed Morbid Angel inspired song clumped together, and at the end it goes into this prog, we're on acid exploration, which they've been cultivating that for, you know, a while now. But
haven't
it's
seen
just
that
all
one,
this
so
stuff is hitting at
know.
the same time. It's like, God, you guys all cheating off of each other's paper or what? You know, we gotta be proggy. We gotta, you know, be. I don't know. I hate to be this way because I do appreciate the talent, and I'm a champion for people trying new things. But, you know, if I don't like it, I don't like it. And I also am bored of the knuckle dragon, you know, like fetid bands that are just like tuned to A and jung, 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 jung. And, you know, a good growler in a cave type of stuff. I mean, I'm Goldilocks. This porridge is too cold. This porridge is too hot. I want the just right shit. You know, I want Soulless. I want like an ever flowing stream. I want, of course, those bands have been ripped off forever, but
yep. I mean, there's always, you know, this kind of, you know, ebb and flow back and forth in all kinds of music that you'll have periods where things get a little more proggy, technical, grandiose, and then it'll kind of swing the needle back the other way where folks like, we're tired of that. Give us like, very simple, 4/4 rock and roll. And then people will get sick of that. But no. Let's get a little more high-minded than that. You see it go back and forth all the time, whether it's in pop music or in underground styles. We've had a lot of old school death metal for a while. I'm not surprised that we're seeing more bands drift into a proggy direction. But yeah, people will get tired of that eventually too, and then we'll all be, wanting a Cannibal Corpse clone to come out and just, rip everybody's heads off and choke on the guts.
Yep, and it isn't just death metal that's doing this. I mean, black metal's been doing it for a while. Like we did the album club on Leprous, and then we just did that this past Wednesday with Obsidian Kingdom.
Thanks, TJ.
Thanks. Both of them are TJ, that guy. Yep. And it just again, it's talented. You listen to it, I'm just like, what do you want to be? Do you want to be this fancy band, or do you want to be this other band? I mean, it's cool when it works and they work it in together and it seems to fit well. I do like prog. I like Rush. I like a bunch of other stuff, but it's not at the top of my list for playability. But anyway, we got on a tangent here, but it's worth talking about because it's kind of it's what all these releases are coming out or doing it. It's the way it is. And
it's an individual taste, I mean,
sure.
If you love it, you love it. And some of us kind of love it and kind of annoys a little bit, and some just hate it. It's just like metal should be, it's boring when everybody likes the same stuff. You don't have these conversations as this. So kind of, I'm okay with band change a little bit. It's just sometimes it annoys me because they were so damn great, and then they kind of took it a little bit too far, and I kind of that's why I kind of dislike it. It's just that I lose one of my favorite bands because they change too much. But they have to do what they want to do, and
absolutely. And I applaud them for it. And I just kind of put these bands on my death barometer. I've been with death from the beginning all the way through, and I liked all the records, and some of them I loved. But nowadays, an older man wanting to listen to death, I'm grabbing Scream Bloody Gore. There's no question. There's no debate. There's maybe I'll try Individual this time. I mean, I know that album very well. I know all those records very well, but I don't want Leprosy. I don't want Spiritual Healing. I want Scream Bloody Gore because it's their best album. Of course, it's the first album I heard by them. So I'm always going to be, it's always very, attached to that one, but it's just kind of, all these bands are kind of using the death model and trying to do different things within, what would have Chuck done if he would have, lived and continued on, I don't know, but maybe these bands are trying to live vicariously through that dream, perhaps. But
I mean, he's widely held as, the benchmark, the pinnacle of death metal. These bands that are very, ambitious. It makes sense. That's the bar they would try to elevate themselves to.
Right on.
All right. Good discussion on that.
Good discussion.
Didn't mean to sidetrack us, but it's it was a good back and forth on. People are split on it, and that's absolutely fine. But Marty, I do believe it's your turn. What else you been playing?
Well, we've established tonight that my Norwegian and my German is pretty spot on, but my Danish needs a little work. So this one's going to be a tough one for me. Kjeld Scheme, SKYM KJELD.
Scheme.
Oh yeah, Scheme. And I was gonna say that. But God, I've had this record for a long time, and I just put it on this week. Came out on Hammerheart Records. 2 LP set. It's just pretty much blasting black metal from the Netherlands. It's kind of Mardukey at times. It's got the raw vibe to it with a little bit of production value. This is typically the type of black metal I like. I like raw, but with some production value. This isn't it's not underwhelming. It's not overwhelming. It's just kind of in the, I would rather listen to like Suitor or stuff like that. And I think there's a similarity between the two bands, but this is one I acquired somewhere and I never listened to it. I finally got around to it, and now it's going to go into the void of my collection and probably never be listened to again. So that's not a humongous recommendation, but it's good. I liked it. I didn't hate it. I listened to the whole thing. Did I listen to it twice? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah.
If nothing else, we got the adjective Mardukey out of that description. And all I can think of right now is a corpse painted Billy Joe Armstrong trying to cover Fuck Me Jesus. Sometimes I give myself the crepes.
Exactly.
I'm going to be stuck with this image for a while.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It's only going to get worse from here. More White Claw. Anyway.
Nope. Try again.
Nope.
Let's try that
Nope.
again. See? Already.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, slightly
Marty's a
spoiler.
little bit of a basket case right now. You know.
Yes.
A slightly spoiler alert. I'm doing a Master's Hammer video.
Oh, cool. I love that band.
And pull out a couple of them, later albums. This is Vagus Vetus and the something
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
These are 12 and 14 or something like that.
What a good
This is-
band. This is so cool and
Yeah.
unique.
And this stuff is kind of more towards the old. The two last albums kind of change a little bit direction.
I still like the
Especially-
lad. We did an album club. I like that record. I
Yeah.
picked that one. I thought it was really good. Interesting.
Yeah, but I don't like the electronica or kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That ruins for me. But these two are kind of more into the old style. We have the timpani and you have the quirkiness of his fantastic clean vocals and the good old raspy black vocals. So two great albums, but I just missed two albums by them. But the Slaggery album is from '95 is shit, so I'm not worried about that. And I just ordered the Mantas album, which was kind of my last. So I have the full discography apart from that
I have
Slaggery
a few
album.
holes. I have a few holes. Yeah. Slaggery is like an experimental. They were kind of
Yeah.
pissed at their label and metalheads. weren't they?
Yeah. It's a terrible one for me, but
Yeah.
So but they kind of stopped playing in 2020, I think. Or kind of shut down the band now. So I don't know if they will resurface, but I've seen them live once as well, and that was fucking awesome. So
I bet that'd have been
yeah,
cool.
they had those two big timpani drums in front, beside the vocalist, and the guys standing there and hammering it. It was just very cool gig.
Nice. All right, now it's Alan's turn. Good call on that. I like Master's Hammer. Good stuff.
All right, so let's see. Something else that came out of the box from Dwayne. Only gotten to spin it once or twice, but included a couple of Ed Guy CDs. He had my wife in mind for these two, and I think she's played the other one, but I don't think she's heard this one yet. This is actually their last album from 2014. It's called Space Police. Typical kind of goofy Ed Guy cover for sure.
Melanie bought those two records too after watching the video. She checked them out and liked it. So we're infecting. Look it. I'm so hooked. Yes.
And
You need to check out Avantasia next, Melanie, and then you're really in the rabbit hole. Anyway.
Very much so. So yeah, neither Melissa or I had heard this one by Ed Guy. And yeah, it's actually a very fun album. Ed Guy was one of those bands that I just kind of gradually lost interest in. I really like their early stuff. And they hit a point where the albums just started, feeling a bit too similar to one another. And they are one of those, German power metal bands that can be, a bit silly. There's always going to be at least one goofy song. They did a song called Lavatory Love Machine once upon a time, for God's sake. But at the same time, the music is always pretty tight if you can get, past a little bit of the silliness that goes on. And yeah, this one's got some very good tracks on it. The one that really jumped out on first listen was The Realm of Baba Yaga. The closer was really good too. What was it? The Eternal One. Bleh. It's got a funny space font. The Eternal Wayfarer. Also quite good. And something I just want to point out on this one. Yes, here, Samet, the main guy from Ed Guy, and now again, Ed Guy's pretty much been retired. He's the main guy for Amaterasu. While he always looks a little goofy, he likes doing the different slightly outrageous outfits and stuff like that. Overall, they still look pretty much like a metal band, and this helps a little bit. One thing that has been grinding my gears a little bit in recent months, and Marty and I have chatted about this, it seems like now every power metal band that comes out, they can't look like this. They feel like they have to frickin' cosplay something.
That band you sent me the other day, the dudes, this dude's in the cardboard armor.
They're all wearing some kind of cardboard scale, supposed to look like scale mail armor.
But the thing of it is, it was pretty good. My kid laughed. He's like, I kind of like this. I'm like, yeah, okay.
But the music's not. Yeah, it's not that their music's bad, but visually they're just so campy now, and you get it too, even with the Angus McSixes and the Twilight Forces and stuff. I'm not criticizing the music. I'm criticizing the fact that they feel the need to overdo the silliness in a genre that already gets slagged for being silly. It's like
they're leaning into it.
Yeah, they're leaning into it a little too hard. It's like, you can just get on stage in a leather jacket and jeans and still play power metal and still sound damn good. You don't have to go down to the local Halloween shop and ask for the Dungeon Master special just to get some stage gear.
Get the Iron Man gear and paint it gold.
I want a plastic, Spider-Man outfit, but I'm just going to, change the color pattern or something. It does irk me that so many of these power metal bands now feel like their gimmick is going to be dressing up like a bunch of fucking orcs or trolls or fairies or fairy trolls or dwarf cleric paladins or what the fuck ever, fantasy trope they rolled up, on their, Dungeons and Dragons, character sheet last weekend. It's not necessary. And with every band doing it, it just really feels like the genre is, you're just giving people another reason to laugh at you rather than take you seriously. So, you can take a lesson from Ed Guy. They were making, silly, lighthearted, but really, really good European German power metal for a decade or more. And they did it without having, to dress up like it was, Halloween. So there's my hot take mic drop moment for the night. Quit dressing up every time. You can be power metal and leave the costume in the closet.
But you gotta look at it this way. I agree with you 1,000%. It's already cheesy music, even though it rips. It's really good. It's really catchy. I love a good hook. I love a good singer. I love good solos. Mm-hmm. But they have broadened their demographic, their fan base. Like my kid doesn't. He laughs at the Glory Hammer shit, all dressed up, but he still fucking loves it. He loves it.
But they'd love it even. I mean, he
loves that Angus McSix. He loves that record. He loves it. I like it. It's like metal pop music. It's like, how can you hate this? It's so it's an earworm. Well, but still, it's a fucking earworm. If you're drunk at a party and someone puts it on, I promise you're doing this. You're like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, but if someone puts the song on, yes, you're ear torn. If somebody puts the video on, you're sitting there like, no, I've never heard of that fucking band. I don't know who those nerds are. Fuck them. Let's pull their underwear over their head and steal their lunch money. They don't need the ridiculous costumes to make it doesn't make the music any better.
No,
people will still like the music just fine without it. And it's okay if one band here or there were doing it too, but now it seems like every band coming out of the woodwork, we can't record a demo until I get my cardboard sword and my troll makeup on. Now I can play.
The Sabaton opened up the door for that shit. It's like, someone mentioned Windrose my kid just bought a Windrose CD. It's the first CD he's ever bought with his own money. And it's catchy. It sounds like Sabaton, but Middle Earth. I like it. I'm like, how can you hate this? And I'm just like, my kids listen to metal instead of that shit that he was listening to before. It's like, I'm there. Finally.
Finally.
I'm there. I'm in the door.
He's come of age. Yep. Hey, Marty, just, if he's locking himself in the bedroom and you hear funny sounds coming out there, do check and make sure he's not making homemade armor out of PVC pipes from Home Depot. Because kids these days.
If he's my kid, he's probably doing something else. Anyway.
Anyway, that's my power metal rant. And now that I've got that off my chest, Marty, it's all yours.
All right. Here's one I can pronounce. If you're still in the chat, Jurgen, I've been spinning this. Condemned to Fail. Repent. This is our friend Jurgen from Germany. 6 beers, 9 wives. Modern thrash metal record with a solid ripping vocalist. Of course, Jurgen sang on this one. And would I have ever heard this if my friend hadn't sang on it? Probably not. So I dig it. It's fun. I pull it out on occasion. A friend of mine was over here a couple weeks ago saying, what's some of the bands that Jurgen was in? I'm like, oh, let me grab it. And we sat here and listened to the whole thing. And he's like, this is awesome. I'm like, it is awesome. Really good stuff. But yep, German band on High Roller Records. Jurgen is no longer in the band. He is retired from singing and playing on stage. But this is a good record. Solid. Yeah, I don't know much more to say about it other than it's well-written thrash. Oh, no. Come on, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good record.
Good record indeed.
Yep.
All right. Roger.
Yeah, and like talking about, getting inspired by watching other channels, or kind of albums you have forgotten about or haven't played in a while. Mark G showed this album recently, and it's Dead Man's Path with Malevolent Creation.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of bought it, listened to it, and kind of put it in a shelf. Sounded much more like a lot of the Malevolent Creation albums, but it's a pretty good album. I think, Hoffman's stuff is better than without Hoffman. And I played it several times in a row and really enjoyed it. And but it's kind of, you watch YouTube and you have a lot of stuff in your shelves, and it's kind of very nice to get reminded of albums, so you kind of, I need to listen to that, and this was one of them, and I would probably not have pulled it out this year if it hadn't been for that video. So it's kind of awesome to, and I should listen more to the newer Malevolent Creation stuff because it is pretty good, I would say.
Fun fact, I own only one Malevolent Creation album, and it's the 10 Commandments. That's the only one.
Yeah, but that's the best one.
It is the best one. Everything I've heard after, I'm just like,
Retribution is pretty good as well, and there's a couple of the newer one that's pretty good as well. So, but 10 Commandments is just a killer one.
It is a killer one. Really catchy, good vocals.
Yeah.
Alan.
All right. I've mentioned this one once or twice lately, but haven't given it the full treatment. Fifth Angel, their debut album.
That's a good record.
It's a very, very good record. Jeff over at Gas Masks and Hand Grenades has championed this band for a long time. I've heard the name forever. I just never really checked them out because I never met anybody who had listened to them, and so I never had a good feel for what they were going to sound like. And with band pictures like this, it could be a lot of things. It could be a pretty solid power metal, US power metal album. It could be a Dokken clone. It could just be some random hair act. The name and such doesn't really give you any direction on it. So it was one I always passed on. But, Jeff, knows his stuff. He had talked them up a lot. It's like, okay, I'll give it a listen. I had dialed it up on YouTube. And this is one of those cases where it's just like, oh my God, even on free, I don't need to hear this a second time. This is amazing. So yeah, I went out right away, tracked down a copy. This is just a CD reissue. And there is not a bad song on this album. Very clean, clear production, slick guitar work, good vocalist.
Good vocalist, yeah.
It's everything you want in that 80s US power metal vibe that leans just a little bit into the cleaner sound. They're not really a Queensryche clone. They don't go then to that more proggy direction at all. Bands they're close to might be something along the lines of Vicious Rumors. They remind me a bit of Gargoyle with a better sound quality. Gargoyle didn't have that little rough sounding on that one. They're in that kind of vein. Maybe why
Gargoyle, the new Renaissance band.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always saw that sitting in Camelot, and I was like, God, that cover sucks. I'm not buying it. It good?
It's a terrible cover, but it's pretty good if you like some of those others. It has that kind of Seattle, Northwest 80s metal sound to it, where the good musicianship, good vocalist. It's just a bit underproduced, and yes, has terrible cover art. And now it's like $100 album or something. But this one maybe leans a little bit towards some of the Y&T heavier material. I'm not familiar enough with Y&T. I may be out on a limb there, so don't hold that one against me. But yeah, the band's done a few more albums. They did a second one back in the day, but quickly fell apart. The lineup just couldn't hold together. But they've bounced back with, filling in the gaps with guys who weren't interested in rejoining, and have at least 2 newer albums out. Jeff says both of those are quite good also. I'm going to check out more by the band. I want to take my time with it. Right now, I just want to enjoy this one, really let it soak in, because it's worth spending the time on, absolutely. This is also the cover art from when they were on a major label. They got picked up. The original pressings have different cover art with like a big white Pegasus on kind of a red, skyline background. But excellent stuff. If you like that kind of clean, flashy sounding 80s US metal, Fifth Angel. If you missed them like I did, then here's your notice. Go check them out. It's really, really good.
All right. Been in kind of a raw black metal mood lately, and I've been listening to this a bit. This is my favorite 2 releases by the band Azagal, Percoline Luma and Key, I'm assuming. Finnish band, been around forever. These are super catchy songs, and you got a really bad low rent Chris Moyen artwork copy on there. It's really terrible, but it's just Finnish black metal, catchy, fast, raw. The songs, they just have these hooks. This band has always had hooks, and which is what really sucks me into their stuff, even though they've got a bunch of records. Some of them are great, some of them are just pretty average. This album and the EP are exceptional, and it's Finnish, so it's probably a degree of sketch attached to this. If it is, I don't know, I didn't check, so the hell with me if it is, but I don't think it is. It's good stuff. Roger.
Yeah, can keep it in a little bit of the same vein, the Talk album.
I need to get it. That's the only one I don't have. I listened to it. It didn't click with me. Songs, but
it's kind of changed up a little bit. It's kind of in a way getting more progressive, as you kind of don't like that in black metal. But the title is Tav of Avstand, Sea of Distance, in a way. It's the kind of loosely translated. But I kind of got drew into this album because the riffs are kind of telling a story, if that makes any sense. It's kind of not as much vocals here, as longer instrumental parts, and it's not getting boring, but some might get bored about it. But I thought it was kind of very interesting album for me. I'm not like super digging it, but I just feel that he has done something kind of new or unique in a way.
I'm gonna get it.
Album.
I've got all this other stuff. I'm gonna get it too.
Yeah. So, and the cover is excellent. So so I just kind of been spinning it in the background, and it's just like a slightly earworm for me, just creeping in there. And it's mid-tempo. It's not, it's still a thin guitar sound, as always, but I just feel that there's as one song here is kind of more towards Enslaved, actually, or Helheim, that type of music. So it's kind of just played around in a cool way, I think. And some will hate it and some will like it, like me, but that's how it goes. So cool fold out album. So I just enjoyed it a lot more than I kind of expected, because I kind of lost a little bit interest in Tokyo the last 10 years or so. But
the albums are still good. They're just, I mean, the first time I heard the first song on the first Tolka album, it blew me away. And I'm like, I'm going to buy everything from this band. And I really like the fact that, Norway had its time, and then bands either got really avant-garde and electronic and weird, or they went like kind of weird death metal. But Tolka, he maintained the Norwegian black metal aesthetic, and within it, he wrote good songs. It wasn't just, Transylvanian hunger worship, though he can do that. Yeah. The songs have interesting riffs. There's actually really cool song structures, good hooks. I mean, it's all he did it. I love it. It's great stuff.
Yeah. He has a very kind of unique way to write the riffs, or the kind of, they don't sound like, or he doesn't sound like anybody else really. He has this uniqueness of him, so that's very cool.
Good scathing hit of vocals too. Really good screamer. Also been in Gorgoroth and Ragnarok and what else? I don't know. He's done some stuff for other people.
Yeah, he's been singing for several bands, and played, guitar, bass.
Yep. All right, Alan.
Okay. Picked this up at a flea market recently. Hadn't heard it in ages. Lousy pressing in terms of the cover art. Can you even tell what it is?
It looks like someone drowned a camel.
You're on the right track, because it's supposed to be something underwater, but it's Pink Floyd's Metal, their sixth album from
Zoller sent me that. It's a good record.
It really is. I had it ages ago back in college, and it was all right. It just never got around to playing it very much. It kind of got buried in the stack. So yeah, I'd gotten rid of it long ago. But flipping through stuff at literally outdoor flea market, and they had some decent rock and hard rock stuff for $6. Yeah, I got a pile of CDs. I gave them $5 a piece at the end of the day. I was like, yeah, I'll go back and visit that one again, and it is a really solid album. Echoes is the big side on the vinyl. I'm pretty sure it took up one entire side, but then the first couple of tracks are quite good too, with One of These Days and A Pillow of Winds. It's not one of the Pink Floyd albums you hear people talk about very often. It's one that's a little bit considered kind of transitional for them. This is where they were still writing, as a band overall. Everybody had contributed to this. So you weren't into the, Roger Waters dominated era just yet. After this point, you get to Obscured by Clouds, and then, of course, Dark Side of the Moon. And then it kind of becomes, Rogers, imposing himself on everybody else, according to multiple sources. Before this, though, the band was still kind of, working more under the, auspices of what, Syd Barrett had done with the band on their first album. And so this is kind of the point where a lot of reviews will kind of, it's like, yeah, they're finally moving away from, that, the quote unquote 60s sounding Pink Floyd, and starting to move towards what they would be doing more of in the 70s. It's not perfect. And again, I've only played it once or twice since I picked it back up. I don't remember liking San Tropez, or maybe it was Seamus, actually. One of those two songs struck me as just being a little kind of, the silly, dippy-ish song. But yeah, several of the others, quite good stuff. Was glad to pick it back up and kind of reconnect with it. I probably hadn't heard this album in easily 20 years. It might be 25 at this point. So it'd been a long time coming, but it's kind of cool to hear metal again. One little fun heavy metal connection to the album, I think, just something I've noticed, and I don't know. The first song on it is called One of These Days. And if you go into the Noctimistium catalog, there was a phase there where Blake was trying very hard to be this kind of psychedelic black metal entity. And the opening track on one of those Assassins albums is called One of These Nights. I can't help but assume Blake was kind of borrowing a little something there, because those albums are also called black metal, Meddle, the same title as this album. And he was trying to work in that, slightly psychedelic vibe into creating, a more unique sound for his band. So yeah, I think he borrowed a couple of things from this album and included them there in the Assassins album that he did. And if he did, hey, kudos to him. It worked out, and I think it's a subtle but clever nod to one of his alleged influences. I'm done.
All right. I'm still in Finland, still in the raw, nasty stuff. Behexen, Rituella, Satanum.
Yeah.
Good raw. This band went. It's still good. It's just they lost the grit in the vocals a little bit, if memory serves. But this one rips. It's a great one. Good production, raw, finish. In the finished sound, a lot of dissonant melodies, a lot of dissonant chording. It's just typical Finnish black metal. Really, if that doesn't describe it for you, you're gonna have to just, because this Finland has the sound, Norway has the sound, Sweden has the sound, Finland. It's amazing how they're all kind of northern brothers. I know Finland isn't part of the Scandinavian party. We're not good. We worship fairies in the woods as opposed to Vikings on the sea. But what are you going to do? But it's just amazing. Each country up there all has their own sound, and the Finns, I dig it. I don't know. It's just really solid, well done, raw black metal.
Yeah.
So Rituala Satanum, check it out.
Excellent live band as well.
Really?
Yeah, they're fucking awesome live.
Yeah.
Very energetic and evil, and they kind of have that small mass before they start playing, a little bit like what Ain does, but just getting into the mood, and then they just hammers away. So it's killer band to watch live.
All right, Roger.
Going to a little bit old death metal, Brutality in Mourning.
That's a good band. That album is a little questionable for me. I'm going to be honest.
I think it's a great album, but
I'm going to have to check it again.
Yeah, but kind of why the logo and this fucking ugly cover, and
bands did that shit. They're like, I don't.
If I had seen this in a store back in the days, I would not pick it up.
Right?
Just because it looks like a groove metal album or something. I'll listen to it. I prefer the two first albums, and the later stuff is pretty good as well. But it is a very good album, and sounds like Brutality, and it's just one of those albums that might have to do with the cover and the logo that you kind of forget about, because it makes no impression looking at this. It's kind of lost. The two first albums you kind of have in your head.
Their first album is such a classic.
Yeah.
What a banger from start to finish. What a great album.
So I tried now kind of going back to bands. I try to pick out the albums that I haven't listened that much to, because the old classics very well, but there's always kind of the third and fourth album is kind of the albums that you haven't listened to that much. So now these days I try to kind of just go back and dig out some of the albums I don't know that good. So
tread lightly when you get into Gorefest.
I have all the Gorefest albums, so I do too. I really know that there's two albums there that I won't revisit.
No, and I've given Erase away like 3 times, and that CD is like a strain of herpes. It keeps coming back. People are like, ha ha ha, here's another. In fact, there was 2 people that watched this show and thought it'd be funny to send it to me, because I was proud. I have 2 of them sitting in my house. I've given it away every time, and I've got 2 copies of that shitty. I mean, you come after one of the best death metal records of the time, and you put out that turd of an album. Oh my god! But they ended great. Their last 2 albums, their last one,
they're
the
fantastic.
last one, Rise to Ruin. What a crushing record! It's awesome, great. But anyway, Erase, Follow Me to Where the Real Fun Is. Come on, what the hell is that? Doing the Autobahn Kraftwerk cover, which was terrible. Oh.
No, it's a terrible album, really.
Ugh. Alan.
Okay, I saw this float by in the chat a minute ago. and I completely missed all the context. But we're going to show it, by God, because I will never have another chance for it to appear on this show.
Tom, I've got 2 copies already. Do not send your copy to me. Oh, did you see me just pull that up in the chat?
Yes, I don't know what the context was, but I'm like, holy crap, C.W. McCall. I haven't thought of that name in a long time.
CJ,
But
I
it's still
put
on the
CJ,
shelf.
but it's CW. You're right. Oh yeah.
Yep.
My dad had all those.
I have not played this recently, but
The fact you have it is like, what the fuck?
for those wondering, this it really is a novelty album. All the songs are very goofy, but he had one kind of surprise hit in the 70s with a song called Convoy.
We're gonna join a convoy,
Rocking through the night. Come on and join our convoy. Yep, that's the one. They made it into a movie about truck drivers, going across country.
There was even a TV show spinoff, CJ and the Bear. Remember that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. It was very much like around the whole CB radio kind of culture and all this stuff.
Which my dad had. He had the home base. Each vehicle had a CB in it. Oh yeah.
The guy that lived across the street from us when I was a kid had like the giant antenna and everything, where he would try to talk to guys in Japan, but they didn't speak English, so they'd just sit there and blather at each other, and nobody knew what the hell the other one was saying. He'd come, he's like, "Dude, I just talked to a guy from Japan on my CB." I'm like, "That's cool. What'd you talk about?" "I have no fucking idea, man, but he's in Japan. It's cool."
Tell Teddy Bear how you like to handle. How does Teddy Bear handle his rig?
But yeah, it's just where do you want to put that guy hauling dynamite? Yeah, put him in behind them suicide jockeys. He's going to need all the help he can get. It's just, I used to could recite most of this album line for line, and it would crack my dad up every time. Because it's silly.
My dad had the 8 tracks.
Goofy stuff. I had this one album for some reason. There's a great song on here where he's like a deputy, and there's like a bunch of hippies break into the local swimming pool, and they have to go fish them all out with a giant net and stuff. Just on and on it goes. So I don't know how this came up in the chat, but kudos to those in the chat who can appreciate C.W. McCall.
Oh, it was me. Everybody was talking about, my dad listened to this. My dad has all the Pink Floyd. My dad has all the Beatles. I said, my dad had all the C.W. McCall truck driving song 8 tracks.
Yep. We had the album.
That's why I'm a metalhead. I grew up listening to that country shit.
Yeah. And my dad doesn't like country at all. With a few exceptions, he's not a country guy at all. But that album just always, it hit his funny bone just right. And it really, for if you like, the weird stuff, like, Weird Al Yankovic, or, there's lots of the, Screaming Jay Hawkins, just those kind of odd novelty songs that are kind of fun. It's kind of a country fried version of that. I'm just going to make that my turn for it and pass it right on to you, Marty. I'm happy with that.
God, I remember Cow Patty. Holy crap. Oh my God. This is bringing back weird memories. Anyway.
It is. And I'm just going to sit here and bask in them for a couple of minutes, and then I'll show a real album next time, I promise.
Well, my spin into the raw black metal, it went to Greece, and it's not the band you think. Astarte, I'm assuming. I don't know how to pronounce this. Doom Dark Years, the debut. This is a promo. I never had the real one, just the promo of it. This is an all-lady black metal band, very much fascinated with the Scandinavian style. Nothing new or exciting on this, but it's really, really well done. I've always liked this album in particular. I have a couple of their others moving forward, which were good. This is the one. Of course, it's the first one I heard, but I'm just a sucker for plain Jane raw black metal. I just am. I don't know what it is. That seems like the real stuff to me. I like Emperor. I like stuff like that too. But for some reason, it's just the raw stuff. If there's some hints of that dissonant melody in there, I'm psyched. And this band, at this point, I think they were a 3-piece. They turned into a 4-piece, and then I think the main lady passed away at some point as well.
Yeah, she passed away.
Yeah. Which is a bummer deal, but this is a good record. Doom Dark Years, check it out. I think the albums have been reissued. I don't know for sure, but I think they're easy to find. I've been listening to this poor wore out old. Your promo copy has ringware. I mean, really?
Yeah.
It happens to CDs too, I guess, but this isn't the cover. I don't know if this is the cover of the album.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it's the.
It says the first all-female black metal band ever. So there you go. Sorry, Holder, and all the other ones. Good stuff though. I like it. And I've been also listening. I showed a Nocturne, Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Call. I recently discovered that band, and oh man, I'm all in. Yeah. I'm all in on that. I got 3 records, and I've got a bunch of shit on Discogs, looking for something in the US that doesn't cost me $12 million to have it shipped. But wow,
yeah, she's fantastic.
Her vocals are sick. And she plays a great guitar, and and
the work she does with Bethlehem is also just.
I need to get those too. I ordered one on Amazon, it never shipped, so I'm like, crap.
Fucking killer albums with great vocalists.
All right, Roger.
Yeah, some black metal then, since we are in the mood. The new Hell's Coronation with Transgression of Necromantial Darkness. This is if you like Blood Ritual with Samuel, go and listen to this.
You got my attention.
Yeah, this is it's not a copy, but it's definitely totally in that vein, mid-paced.
God,
really,
that Blood Ritual is just an evil album. That album has an evil atmosphere to it.
Yeah, and this kind of follows that very much, and I've just been playing this a lot. Killer stuff, and very cool vinyl edition of it as well. It's out on Gods of War production, but this one kind of blew me away on just the right feel to it, and it's not, as I said, a copy of Samuel. It's just the same vein as that Blood Ritual album, and it was like my first thought was, Blood Ritual when I heard this one. So just a absolute banger of an album.
Oh, very cool. I like the artwork too, and the color scheme, and the whole thing.
Yeah. So killer stuff.
All right, Alan.
All right.
Hell's Corn. I'm writing that down. Hold on. Hell's Coronation.
It's all good. Let's see. We'll do. Different take on Finnish metal. Folks mentioned Reverend Bizarre earlier.
Does it have dolphins on it?
No.
Like Stradivarius, anyway.
No. It does, however, have Albert Witchfinder on it, but it's not Reverend Bizarre. It's a more recent project he worked on called Friends of Hell.
Oh, I recognize that CD. I think I sent that to you, didn't I?
I know somebody did. I was trying to double check.
That was me, I think.
I couldn't remember if it was you or Rick, but this is it's funny because it's got a really kind of big doom metal pedigree. Between Albert is on this, Taneli Jarva from of course Sentence fame is on it. One of the guys was on a couple of Electric Wizard albums. So it's kind of a little bit of a super group kind of concept here. It's a good album. It is very much, though, paint by numbers for this kind of occult, spooky doom. They're obviously working a bit in the Reverend Bizarre vein, and they're doing it well. It sounds good. The songs are solid. They don't drag on forever like some Reverend Bizarre songs are bad to do. But at the same time, they don't add anything new to the formula. I was kind of expecting, with all these kind of, relatively big name people on the project, that they would have some kind of different flourish on it. It feels a little bit, however, like they're all getting together and just doing something for fun. That's just like, I like, let's just do, something that's, kind of a little old school Finnish doom sounding. Just, jam a bit for some fun. I mean, even with, the album title, Friends of Hell, obviously a Witchfinder General reference there. It's got, every kind of, contrivance in it you'd expect these albums to have, references, to, nuns and, spooky books and occult forces and all of that. There's, Albert has a lot of projects, and I think he's already left this project. I just checked earlier, and he's now listed as former vocalist for Friends of Hell. So I guess his time here is done. He's had a lot of good projects over the time. Spiritus Mortis, he was really good with them. But so If you want, something in that vein, just another very occult flavored, slightly tongue in cheek kind of heavy doom, Friends of Hell is a fun listen. If you're wanting somebody who kind of pushes that genre a little bit and does something more unique, this one doesn't check that box off. But it's still a good listen and kind of cool to hear those this particular mesh of characters from the doom scene crank something out. So yeah, thanks for that one, Marty.
Yeah. I gotta say, on paper, the whole Reverend Bizarre shouldn't work for me, but it really does. Because I typically don't like humor in music.
Mm-hmm.
Long, boring doom songs. I appreciate it, but it just doesn't do much for me. I like all the Reverend Bizarre I own. I like. There's some sort of a charm about it. I don't know what it is. Do I listen to it a lot? I don't, but when I do, I enjoy it. It's weird.
Yeah. I've always had some trouble with them, and a lot of it boils down to the humor is a little too blatant sometimes, but it's really the song length. Because the stuff I like by them, when they keep the songs to kind of more of a quote-unquote normal length, I tend to like it, like Crush the Insects.
Yeah.
The songs are all of a sudden packed down to like 4 minutes. I'm like, hey, now this one I can get into. But then I had some of their others, and it's like, well, this song is 22 minutes long. And it feels like it's 222 minutes long. Just it won't quite work for me when they drag it out that long.
Some Halloween humor songs are a bit too much to take to, but it's still so well. Whatever, Devin, go to bed. You're up past your bedtime, young man.
Cough, cough. Laser shooting dinosaur. Cough.
I know. I'm a man. I'm an enigma. I'm a man of different. I don't know.
Marty's like an onion. He's got layers.
I've got many layers. Yes. They all stink. Anyway. All right. I'm still in the black metal kick. I just randomly picked up this Nargaroth album, Era of Threnody. I don't even know what the hell that word is. Big $5 word. I have no idea what it is, but I was kind of surprised at how well produced, and I think the band is signed to Season of Mist now. So I mean, they've went from crappy sounding Dark Throne sort of worship to, which I like some of those early albums. They have a charm to them. This record is well done, kind of long-winded, but Ken Wolf still has a good, hateful, scathing sounding vocal style, and the music is right in the pocket of where it needs to be for, underground, raw German black metal. I dig it. I was kind of surprised how much I like this. Listened to it quite a bit when I got it. I haven't touched it since, but surprising. I have a lot of holes in my Nargaroth collection. Not that that's a big deal, but this is a good record. I'm surprised.
I don't have any albums by them, so
there you go.
Yeah.
Black Metalist Krieg is the fun one. That's the one everybody, if you're going to get into Nargaroth, that's the one to check out.
Yeah. Well, there's some thrash metal from Russia. Mystic Storm.
Cool cover.
With well, I'm not going to pronounce the title because it's the English title is From the Ancient Ones. This is kind of old school thrash metal, totally in the vein of Detent or Detent. How do you pronounce that? The vocalist, she female vocalist, and she has the kind of a Dawn Crosby feel to her, kind of the basic Dawn Crosby, not the experimental Dawn Crosby, but a really good album, really good thrash. If you kind of want that, if you like Detent, go and check out Mystic Storm because it's an absolute banger on album. Pretty
very cool.
Yeah. Just it's out on the nice label called Jawbreaker Records from Sweden. So kind of to show this one.
I love it.
Yeah. It's kind of that feeling you get when you listen to it. It's old school thrash, with very good female vocalists, and I do cover a Detenter song here as well. So just to underline the fact where their inspiration is from.
All right, Alan.
Okay. Sometimes you're just in the mood for something more epic. And this band, it was always in kind of semi-regular rotation, but I hadn't played this particular album for a while. It is the debut Atlantean Codex album, The Golden Bough. I gush about this band pretty regularly.
They're so good.
They are so incredibly good. If anyone has not checked them out, it owes a lot. Basically, take like, Manowar's Into Glory ride, put it in a really nice hotel suite with Bathory's Hammerheart, and just put on the Barry White in the background and let them make sweet love to each other and produce the most beautiful baby you've ever seen or heard. And you're getting there. You're getting there. It really does have, it's got, that, big, epic, slow pacing of something like Hammerheart. But it's got, this, really strong, clear and clean vocals, driving it more like Eric Adams from Manowar. So it just clicks incredibly well. It's epic metal with, strong doom overtones worked in as well. It doesn't lean in the power metal direction very much, except, the vocal. It really, has that, very heavy doom trappings all over it. The first album doesn't get talked about as much as, the next two. This one, yeah, if you really, really wanted to nitpick on it, you could say there are some things where it's a little rough around the edges, but it is still glorious. For me, it's still a solid A+ of an album. It includes some of the tracks run long, but they keep them moving. The lyrics are very deep. There's a lot of stuff you can dive into. They pull on a lot of history, a lot of mythology, a lot of different religious beliefs and theology, and kind of splice it all together into a very, very interesting, unique package. Highlight track for me is definitely Temple of Catholic Magic. That song is just monstrously heavy. I would love to have this band come play something like Prog Power in the US and get to see them, perform that track in particular. That's just got to be crushing live. The self-titled track Atlantean Codex is incredibly, incredibly good. Everything this band does is pretty much golden, just like the album title. So yeah, if you haven't checked them out and you like that kind of epic doom flavored stuff, definitely give them a try. And it doesn't really matter which album you pick; they're all very good. You can't go wrong with anything out of their catalog at this point. So yeah, I pulled this one back out, replayed it. It's easy to sometimes start thinking like, yeah, maybe the first one's not as good as the other two, and then I replay this and I'm just like, it's right there on par with the others. Nah, they're very, very consistent, and even though maybe the sound's a little cleaner, a little fuller on the next couple albums, there's nothing wrong with the sound on this one. It's an absolutely gem. 10 out of 10 of an album.
All right. Well, what I'm about
Steve,
to show,
yes, we do need. It is about time for a new Atlantean Codex.
It's been a while, hasn't it? When did
2019 was Course of Empire? I'm pretty sure. So
Wow.
yeah, it's 4 years. They always kind of take their time. They do not rush albums out. And I know one of the guitarists has had health issues where I think he's still helping them write and maybe perform in the studio, but he's not going to be playing live. Maybe is the deal. They already have a new guitarist, and I forget her name. She's really good because she was on Course of Empire.
Mm-hmm.
But they have had some personnel things to do. There's been different tracks released on like Bandcamp for singles, EPs, some live stuff. So there's been some things, but it is time for a new chapter in the Codex. Absolutely.
Well, you know how much time it probably takes him to do research for those lyrics.
This is a band that takes their time and does it right. They are not going to rush something out just to put a product on the market. It's going to be done correctly. Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of albums that aren't 10 out of 10, but this is still fun. There's another one Zoller sent me. This is Scorpion's Humanity. Hour 1.
I don't know that one.
This came out in 2007. He sent it to me after we talked about Scorpions on here, and he said, you need to check this out because it's pretty solid. Desmond Child helps write some songs on here. So if you're
Weird.
a Kiss fan, Desmond Child on here. Well, produced by James Michael and Desmond Child, executive producer Desmond Child. So yeah, it's got his fingerprints on it, and it's a modern Scorpions album. It sounds like the Scorpions, but the songs are pretty well crafted, pretty modern sounding, but not. I don't know. It's just weird because it's catchy. It's just really well done and catchy. Oh, here we go. Wade, best 2000 Scorpions album I have heard. That's a good album. Cool. I'm not the only one. I mean, I checked it out a couple times. I like it. Is it replacing Entrance or Vicious Attack? Nah, it's not even close. But yeah, a little more polished. Desmond Child tends to put on that sugary pop polish on all that stuff, but solid record. If you are, I always thought that after Love at First Sting, I was kind of done with that band, but Zoller proved me wrong. It's a pretty good album.
Yeah, I have not heard that one. Yeah, that band got pretty dodgy there by the mid-90s, so yeah, I can't blame folks for missing some of that stuff from the early 2000s.
Holy crap. Jurgen recently sold Humanity vinyl for almost €400.
Yeah, if you think about it, that time frame, if you had that, that's a time frame when people weren't buying the vinyl or making the vinyl, so it's probably a hard one to track down now.
I'd say it's as good as I liked Rock Believer. I thought that was a pretty solid record. Kind of them doing something for the fans, you know.
Mm-hmm. Rock Believer was nice. The one before it, I've heard the one or two before that one, and they're not bad. They're not as good, but they're okay. But I haven't worked back to that one yet.
All right, Roger. I'm sure what you're showing does not have Desmond Child on it.
But I like the old Scorpions, but I kind of never listened to anything of the later stuff, you know. So I haven't heard any of those newer albums. But I mean, I do like to listen to some old Scorpions now and then. I'm gonna keep in the thrash scene. This is Eternal Evil from Sweden. This is a really good old school sounding thrash metal band with young lads looking like they're from the 80s.
Yep.
A lot of kind of creator, I would say. I mean, you just have to kind of dig the style that they are doing.
Gotta love it.
Great vocals. A lot of the newer thrash metal bands kind of, have too barky vocals or boring vocals, but this guy has a pretty good, raspy vocals and kind of more towards the more brutal side of thrash, I would say. Kind of a cool, cheesy, semi-cheesy cover, you might say. So, it's kind of all there. Nice packaging and great riffs and, what you want from a good, really good thrash album. I've
never even heard of it.
No, but I kind of discovered this probably 2 or 3 months ago. This album came out in 21. I just there was a random video popping up, and it was cool. It looked like an old band, and kind of like the riff, and just it was really good. So very happy to discover this band.
Awesome. Alan.
All right, we will go to the complete other end of probably actually exiting the middle spectrum, if we're going to be honest here.
C.W. McCall wasn't, I mean,
we're not going that far out of the middle spectrum, but we'll meet them halfway at Heartbreak Station by Cinderella.
Cinderella's okay, man.
Cinderella is okay.
I picked up Night Songs this year, and after having it younger, and it's a good album. I like it.
Night Songs is killer. I really like Night Songs. So,
Night Songs is the best one.
The second one too, Long Cold Winter's it's a little more bluesy and slow, but I still like that too. It's good.
Yep, much so.
Good band.
And it was kind of I had this album as a kid when it came out. Didn't play it a whole lot. It was long gone, but it kind of on the strength of those other two albums. I'm like, again, I'm standing at a flea market, in a VFW lot. it's $6. The guy's going to sell me several CDs for $5 a piece. For $5, it's okay. I'll give it another chance. And this one again, it's leaning into their bluesier side for sure. This one came out just late enough too, where the glam metal thing was wearing kind of thin with a lot of folks. So they had a couple of singles off of this one. The More Things Change, which has a saxophone in it, I'm pretty sure. The title track, was kind of the ballad. It had a big video that they shot, with a train in the snow and everything. And it's a good, kind of hard rock ballad for the time. I don't think this one is as good as either of those first two albums. It just doesn't feel quite as. I don't know. I mean, again, it's similar in style. It's not that they were doing something really different or that they were doing it badly. Somehow, the songs just don't stick with you nearly as quickly. But it has a few good tracks on it, so I don't mind having it on the shelf. And I'll spin it a couple more times before deciding how far back on the shelf to bury it. But Cinderella is one of those bands that get unfairly lumped in with the Poisons and the really schlocky Britney Fox kind of glam bands. Yes, you can say their look was part of the problem, but everybody looked that way at the time. It didn't, thrash bands had the exact same wardrobe and hairstyle. You can't hold that against them. Now, the band
Cinderella
name,
could play.
Cinderella could absolutely play, yes. And now, Grant, I will give you this. They could have picked a better band name than Cinderella.
And their fashion choices on the album, the first album, is like, what the hell are you thinking?
Yeah, and if you're going to have this kind of pink album color and call yourself Cinderella, you're kind of condemning yourself to get thrown in there into the Ricky Rocket kind of bracket, even though it isn't where you belong. They could have come up with something better than that. And I don't know if Philip's still watching, but on one of the recent chromium dioxide videos, it starts out with him. He works in all kinds of clips from old cool things, and he has a really funny clip of Cinderella when they were basically still just like a local Philly phenomenon. And they're doing a promo spot for some local hot dog stand. And they're doing a jingle for a hot dog place with shots of like the guy's like, hot dog, like sticking a hot dog in his mouth, which that didn't come back to haunt them at any point in the late 80s when they're being called cock rock. But it was cool to see that in Chromie's video. Heartbreak Station. It's not going to win any awards. But again, for a few bucks at a flea market, I decided to give it another chance.
All right. Well, I'm still in Germany. They've made me an honorary German because I'm so proficient in the language. This is the third album by Germany's Brainstorm Ambiguity. Came out in 2000. This is the third album of 13 albums. You got to say, the German metal bands, man, they got a work ethic. They keep on churning it out. And is this the best heavy metal / power metal album I've heard from Germany? No, probably not, but it's really solid. These guys are good. I heard a couple songs on Spotify. I'm like, okay, these guys are good. And this was my, throwing my little fishing rod, my little hook, my worm out in the sea. And I bought this. I got it cheap on eBay. If I love it, I'm going to go, if you're a collector, you like a band, you buy all their shit, right? Well, I still haven't pulled the trigger on all the Brainstorm stuff. I do like this CD. I thought it's good. I listened to it about 5 or 6 times, but it just has not blown me away. So if anybody out there, and I'm looking at Metal Archives now, there has been 7 people that reviewed this at 84%. So it's a highly regarded record. I mean, there's higher, there's 87, there's 90. So I see there's other albums out there that are probably better. In fact, their latest album, 2021, Wall of Skulls, is at 90%. So, and I mean, like Primal Fear, another one of those bands, workhorse type of band. I like the new album. I thought it was really well done. And, I only have half of their catalog. So do I need all Primal Fear records? No, but the new one is really good. I'll probably get it. Exactly, Rick. So yeah, if anybody, tell me where I should direct my focus. And this is solid. I'm not giving up my Halloween records for Brainstorm. I'm just saying that. But it's good. It's good stuff.
I would direct my attention to a better band than Brainstorm. That's what I would recommend.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I got this for like $6, and
and it's like, I have not heard that album, so I can't comment on that one. There was a little bit of hype around them in the early 2000s and I think that may have been like when they kind of got up and running. And I checked out a couple of their albums, and kind of the same take as you, but less enthusiastic. It's like, they're not bad, but they're very nondescript. They
very
feel
nondescript.
They feel very average, and there is so much good quality German metal out there. I don't need the bands that are just average. I just don't.
No.
If average is the best, if it's like wow, that album was a solid C, I'm just not going to check you out again. There's too many others that can surpass that with very little effort for me to come back to you. So Brainstorm was not one that clicked with me. I am staggered that they've got that many albums out. But
oh my God, they came out in 1990. I mean, they've been around a few minutes.
Okay, I didn't know they went back that far. I didn't check them out until something around 2000. I don't even remember which albums it was. I'd have to look them up. But they just struck me as very average.
Well, there's Hungry as their debut, Unholy is their second, Ambiguity is their third.
I'll look. Let me.
Their debut, Hungry, has got a whopping 77%. So typically a band has got their whole lives to write their first album. The first album typically is the one a lot of people like, but apparently they refined it a little bit as they went.
You gotta, I take the Metal Archives reviews with a big grain of salt.
Yeah.
Some of them just don't make
a guide. Yeah.
You look at the Saxon rankings, and Innocence is No Excuse is like the highest ranked Saxon album. And it has like multiple reviews that average out at 96%. It's just like, it's not the worst album but they did, but you have this ranked higher than like Strong Arm of the Law. This is ranked higher than Wheels of Steel even? What the fuck is wrong with you people? Have you heard these other albums? Have you heard any other albums? I don't know what's happening.
I got to say, this is a good comment here. Good is the enemy of great. You know what? You know what makes a good album a great album? Nostalgia. That is the identifying factor that takes a good average album that might be average in the eyes of everybody else. Yeah. What's your jump in point with a band? Did you jump into Brainstorm on this record and love it? Well, this is your Brainstorm record you're going to gravitate towards forever. This is the way it's going to be. So what makes a good album a great album is nostalgia.
Here, Liquid Monster. That was one of the Brainstorm albums I had, which ranks in at 65% reviews. So maybe I just maybe I had the bad one.
You bought the turd sandwich, Liquid Monster. I mean, who's sitting around a frickin' table? It's like the Halloween where they're like pulling out album for Rabbit Don't Come Easy. They named it Rabbit Don't Come Easy, and then they're like pulling out all these stupid album covers like that's it. Or it's like
but the thing is though, Marty, in German it probably sounds heavy as hell. Liquid Monster is like, I'm sorry, Jurgen. Very sorry, Jurgen. I'm making Marty's Norwegian sound fluent.
Hey, he understood what I said when he came in. That's all I gotta say. He knew
and he left for several minutes immediately.
He did. Oh, he had to. What the am I doing here?
Back.
Anyway.
But,
Roger, you're back.
Well, yeah, I can pull out this.
Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Yeah, it is your turn. Yeah. Go for it. We're talking about Germany. Good one.
Yeah. So I just when I listen to Metal Heart, I always pull out this as well because
awesome.
They kind of go neck to neck with me in terms of again a bit nostalgia of course, but this was one of the kind of few metal bands that survived the thrash for me. and this might be their heaviest kind of in production wise at the early stage, with yeah, let me be your tank.
And you also had a demo written about how great chocolate was. So, anyway.
Yeah, a lot of killer tracks here. The only kind of thing that they do on this album, they kind of repeat some of the verses a little bit too much at the end of the songs. Kind of more, kind of a thing that was going on at that time. I don't know if it's try to get people to get stuck with the song. You hear the title more times do you kind of remember it. But I think just TV War, Monster Man, Aiming High, just
Great stuff.
Yeah, great songs. So I kind of and why they released Eat the Heat after this one is kind of how much money did I get for that change. It's very weird that they kind of had that drastic change.
Yeah, I mean, there's several years in between the albums and the change in vocalist. So I mean, it was the first big hiatus between Accept albums. But Russian Roulette's a very good one, and nobody ever talks about it. I picked it up for like $5, just kind of like, well, it is the last one with Udo for the original run of albums. I'll check it out. I wasn't expecting anything. It's like, this is good. Like you said, it's a very heavy sounding album. It's got a great production to it.
Yeah, it's kind of the most kind of a juicy production of the albums, a step up from Metal Hearts in that regard. So just back then when this came out, we were fucking playing this daily.
And then they just the band kind of disappeared for 3 years, and came back with other things.
And then they turned back to the Udo came back, and then they got heavy as F again. So it's very weird.
It's funny because they were one of those bands that they're just kind of absent in the late 80s. And as such, folks, right around my age, we missed Accept completely. All we knew them for was, the Balls for the Wall song, which, everyone knows that tune. But by the time, my friends and, we were the generation that, started noticing heavy things with like Appetite for Destruction and Hysteria. So we're coming in as Accept is leaving.
Yeah.
And so, if we saw an Accept album hit the shelves, it was Eat the Heat. We didn't see any of the good ones hit the shelf. So it was a band I had to always work, backwards to find out stuff about. When you're 15 years old in 1990 and someone says Accept, I remember thinking, like, oh, that's that old dinosaur band that does the stupid Ball song. If I'm going to listen to a Ball song, I want to hear AC/DC. I don't want to hear Accept.
I picked up that record for the first time in the last couple of years, and it's a good record. I'm surprised how good it is.
Mm-hmm. They really, it's no, it's not quite as good as Restless and Wild or Breaker maybe, but it's not that far behind them. Not at all. Great pick, Roger.
Right. Alan.
All right, more epic metal coming our way. Actually, I've got several epic metal ones in this part of the stack. I know Marty digs this one as well. Italy's Dark Quarter.
God, is it good?
It's so good. Hadn't played it in a while. Once I got done with Atlantean Codex, like, I need more epic. So did this one. It's often described as like, Italy's answer to Manila Road, which I guess is fair enough. I don't know if it quite hits the mark. If you're being serious, it's probably not the best description, but they have some of these longer song structures, really good stuff. This was this may actually be a bootleg copy now that I'm looking at it, that came out in the 2000s. So because it's
God, look at those dudes. God, I love it. I want to hang out with those guys and party.
I want to hang out and play with them. I do not want to fucking piss them off, though. You'll wake up in a canal in Venice, face down somewhere.
I could take them. I'm not scared of those guys. They're all good.
Maybe you can. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Me too. But if I have to, we're safe. We're good.
But yeah, really good stuff here. Red Hot Gloves, Colossus of Argel. They have these. Now the production on the sound is not good, but nevertheless, they make these big, towering, epic songs. They have a little bit of that throwback, slightly 70s proggish vibe at times, but it doesn't get in the way of the metal at all. Very unique vocalist, as you would expect out of a mid 80s, Italian metal record. It's just really fantastic stuff. If you do like anything along the lines of a Manila Road or an Atlantean Codex, this is another good one to check out. They're still around. They are not prolific. They only have a handful of albums they've ever released. Each album can sound different from the last album. So you do have to kind of, it's one of those bands that's almost like Voivod in a way. You get one album, and when you go to the next one, don't expect it to sound like the one you just heard. And that can throw people off sometimes, because you hear this like, yay, I want more of this. Sorry, you're not getting more of this for a while. But yeah, this one is great. There's a very cheap, easy to get reissue 2-disc sets on Shadow Kingdom. Again, mine is not the Shadow Kingdom press. I'm pretty sure mine's an old Greek bootleg. The original vinyl is a pain in the ass to find. Don't drive yourself nuts looking for that. Just get the Shadow Kingdom disc and you're all set.
Yeah, the Shadow Kingdom disc has got them recording decades later, re-recording the album, which that never fucking works. But in this case, it's actually really good. They did a great job on it. It sounds very similar, just better produced. And I was blown away by that record. The production is rough, but it somehow adds to it. The songs are really weird and cool. It works so good. You go and look them up on YouTube, and there's like a rehearsal of them in some like basement of a coliseum practicing, wearing like a silly fedora type hat and a cape maybe. And God, they're just so good.
Yeah,
so technical.
They're goofy. They've been around forever. I've never interacted with them, but I know folks like King Fowley's been in touch with them for ages. He's always said, they're super nice guys, really into everything. So yeah, Dark Quarterer, one of the overlooked epic metal bands. Check them out.
Good one. Awesome record. Our friend Jurgen sent these to me, and I've been returning to them on occasion once in a while in German band Grinder. Dead End and I guess this is Dawn for the Living. This is a deluxe edition. This is a band that slipped through the cracks for me. I believe that came out. Did these come out on Noise originally, Roger? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but they were kind of pretty well known back in the days in Europe, at least.
Yeah, these are Dive Bomb reissues. Dive Bomb does a great job redoing stuff. I mean, this is the type of, it's like thrash / speed metal. It's kind of a nebulous, the No Remorse Records. Thanks, Jurgen. It's like a nebulous, the lines are blurred between thrash and speed metal on here, but it's just solid, good stuff, man. It sounds German, well done. I don't know how I remember seeing this one on tape back in the day. I just never grabbed it for some reason, which makes no sense because it fits every bill. I don't know why I didn't buy it, but he righted that wrong. He got these for me, and they're really good. I enjoyed them. Thank you, Jurgen, for sure. Excellent German speed metal / thrash metal. Awesome. Check it out. I mean, is it awesome?
No.
It's kind of the times, but
they kind of drowned in the masses, and also kind of being on No Remorse wasn't the right label for them. I think if they had been on the bigger labels, they would get more exposure. I think
it's just like every scene that swirls around. The thrash scene got so overbloated at one point.
Yeah,
went down the wrong pipe. Anyway, Roger.
Well, let's do some evil, cavernous death metal from Portugal. Blasphemous Fire.
Cool cover too.
What's the title? Beneath the Darkness. Kind of. So just kind of basic, heavy, chuggy riffing with a cavernous vocal. just kind of what I wanted and needed when I got this album. That's a cool piece as well. So
you're totally edging Simon down there in Australia. Oh,
yeah, but it's kind of it's a great album. It's basic. It's just the riffs are there and the kind of the production are there. The vocal is cavernous, but not too. It's not too murky to say that, and a lot of just fucking good riffs, kind of head nudging death metal. So if you want something kind of easy listening, but want some heavy shit, that this is a good one. So yeah, it came out this year on Gods of War.
God, I haven't even heard of the labels. God.
Gods of War is a pretty well-known label in it's from Poland, so it's kind of do a lot of cool, not many releases every year, but they have a lot of cool releases.
I'm not gonna lie, I would guess that Roger has a Striper, at least a tape or something laying around. He's of the age. So
Striper, yeah, I have vinyl. What's the name of that one? One of the most well-known.
There's Yellow and Black Attack, Soldiers Under God's Command.
Solar Soldiers Under Steel, or no, what?
Yeah, Soldiers Under Command or something, and then
I think it's that one.
Hell,
I don't remember.
Hell with the Devil. Yeah.
No, I think it's that Soldiers stuff. I haven't played that in probably 30 years. But,
God, it doesn't hold up very well.
I kind of don't want to revisit. I still have it, but I really don't want to listen to it because I kind of liked it back then. And yeah. I had him on tape back in the day too. And TJ, we were out shopping here in town, and he found To Hell with the Devil. And I was like, he got it for cheap too. It was all scratched up, but it probably played. And I'm like, so I got home and put it up on Spotify. I'm like, ooh, this just does not hold up like I remember it. It just isn't the same. But I got a more recent album of theirs, and it kind of crushes. So they've gotten a little heavier as they've gone over the years. But all right, Alan.
All right, more epic metal. Apparently, I've been in the epic mood. This is a newer band, and it was recommended by one of our regular viewers and commenters, Captain K. They're out of Chicago and called Fer de Lance. So, Chicago band with a French name. That's always a thing. The album's called The Hyperborean. So, right away, I'm always a little leery of bands that go with the Robert Howard references too much, just because a lot of them are end up falling into the same old tropes. It's just like, sword, barbarian, iron, steel, sword, barbarian, iron, steel. Like, okay, we get it. You watch Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan movie a few too many times as a kid, and now you're stuck on that. Whatever. This one, however, is actually quite good. Musically, it's doing the same kind of epic metal that maybe a band like Smolder might be into these days, but they have a couple of things that make them stand out. One is they have very nice use of acoustic instruments here and there. It doesn't dominate the music, but it definitely helps mix it up a little bit. It gives it that kind of unique ingredient where I can't say, this just sounds like Iron Sword next. It's like, no. Okay, they are doing something a little bit, that they can call their own. The second big thing is they've got a really good vocalist. You've got kind of a little bit of a rough bravado kind of voice. He reminds me a lot of the fellow from Wuthering Heights, who's often compared to kind of Ronnie James Dio, which I personally have never quite got.
I don't get that either, to be honest.
No, I've never quite liked that comparison.
No, it's not even close, really.
I don't think so. But this guy is close to the fellow from Wuthering Heights, whose name escapes me at the moment. That same kind, and it's the kind of voice that's very good for those tales of high adventure kind of songs that they're going to do. But between the strong vocal presence and working in a little bit of unique instrumentation, they keep it interesting. It doesn't just feel like a total clone. yeah, again, so many bands want to reference, the Hyborian, Conan, Robert Howard mythos, but they do it in such a two-dimensional way that it gets boring very fast. Yeah, I've been rereading some of the old Howard stuff lately. Conan's a little bit more complex of a character in the early stories than he's given credit for. Too many people want to base it all on, Arnold, get to the Colosseum kind of, Conan. And there was a lot more to Conan than that. And, it's nice when, some bands, kind of tap more into that vein and make the music a little bit more interesting rather than just thudding along and, overlooking the nuances, of the character and the stories. So yeah, Fer-de-Lance is pretty cool. I like them. The only other thing they've done so far is an EP, which I have not heard. But yeah, if I stumble across it for a good price, I'll definitely pick it up based on the strength of this.
Okay. Well,
Marty, I'll pass to you and I want to catch up on some comments here.
I got 2 packages in the mail today. One was that Halloween record, and one was from Alan. He's been doing Santa's work down there where he lives, and sent me a couple CDs and Judas Priest Firepower. I've listened to this on Spotify. I've liked it. Listening to it today, I still like it. I think it's a really solid late in their twilight of their lives album. Is this anything new or exciting? The weird thing, there's a couple songs on here. I wish I wrote them down as they were playing. It sounded like if newer Manowar didn't suck. The newer Manowar songs were trying real hard to sound like this. I know that newer Manowar stuff came out before this Judas Priest did, but yeah, there was a similarity in some of the verses and the choruses. It reminded me of newer Manowar, which isn't good. It just isn't. But this is good. It's really good.
Yeah,
and the fact that a band has been around for as long as I've been alive, it's wow. And there's what? 2.5 members left that are original. Well, I mean, Ian's the only guy that's original, isn't he?
I guess
and he doesn't do any songwriting.
No,
he just,
never.
He just plays bass.
I mean, you might as well call Rob an original member, even though technically, yes, Atkins was in there, for a little while beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I'm not sure even Ian was in if you want to go that far back, I'm not even sure Ian was in the first 1966 version or whatever.
But I would say if this was a record, I would say the first side is really solid. Yeah. Firepower, Lightning Strikes, Evil Never Dies, Never the Heroes, Necromancer, Children of the Sun. I mean, all these songs are really solid. Verse, chorus. I mean, this is not breaking any records for changing formulas or whatever. It's very much phoned in modern day Judas Priest, but it's really well done, man. Well written, catchy. Halford sounds fucking great. I have no complaints. This is a really solid record all the way around. Thank you, Alan. You did not have to do that.
Glad you like it. You'd mentioned you'd never actually gotten to pick it up, and I found it there in the used bin. So I'm like, I know somebody who needs this.
Yeah.
But yeah. Halford has said in interviews that he really wanted that album. He and his take is that the different eras of Priest, they often had like one album. They're around the 90s. There was Painkiller. And that kind of just that's the album for that late 80s and early 90s Priest. And you had British Steel is like the album that kind of is the benchmark for that era of Priest. And he really, really wanted Firepower to be sort of the album for modern Priest. He's like, and I know we're all getting old. We may not make a ton more albums. And I really wanted to deliver one album that people could point to and say, that's Priest in, the 2000s. Not the other 2000 albums. Some of them are not bad, but there's never been one that people really thought like, whoa, this is, really strong. And so, he really did work to, make that album as solid as possible. And it's not perfect. There are some tracks that are a little flat on it, but
I mean, there's 14 fucking songs on this. I mean,
that's too many songs.
It's like probably 4 too many songs on here. But
it probably is.
A bit shorter would make the album even better. Kind of But for me, I'm not a massive Judas Priest fan, but a Painkiller and then Firepower kind of fits very well together. I think, and also always liked Priest best when they play the harder stuff, because I feel that Halford kind of has a very good voice when he has to push it. He has a very powerful voice that fits the more rougher stuff as well, you know. So it's nice to hear him.
I agree with you 100% on that, but also I really like bluesy Halford, like on Sin After Sin. He's really bluesy and emotive on that record. I don't know. I like both styles, but I do understand what you're saying. I do appreciate that as well.
Yep.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Roger. I'm sorry. I'm
No, that's
sauced up here.
Totally, yeah. But, no, it's just, and I was very surprised on how fucking kind of vicious to be US Priest this was coming out, and I didn't like the stuff that was going on previous to that. I thought it was kind of a lot of bad production as well on the kind of between those, Painkiller and Firepower. But this album is really well produced. And
can I assume that this is an Andy Sneap production? I'm going to assume it is, since he's in the band now. I'm going to assume it's Andy.
Wouldn't
Sneap.
surprise me if it was.
I don't know, but could be.
Anyway, yep, great record, and for a bunch of old bastards, I mean, wow.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yep. Okay, Roger.
Yeah, we have to speed it up a little bit with some, or not speed it up. Ulta, you can see the T-shirt.
Right on.
From Germany. This is kind of a embossed dark cover. It's actually an EP, but it's like 42 minutes long, 2 songs. So I call it an album. This is very evil, repetitive black metal. Has 2 set of vocals, one very high howling one, which sometimes for me is something I dislike with black metal, but they kind of balance it well with a more kind of a deathy vocals as well. So the riff on the first song here, the No Fire Only Smoke, it's kind of a that riff is, I play this very often because that riff is just so fucking good. And they play for probably 5 minutes straight, but it's still just fucking killer. And they add some small changes to it, so it's not just one riff. It's kind of has some small little changes on the riff, but it's just a riff that just grab you and sticks. And I've listened to this so many times, but I still think it's a fucking killer song. And yeah.
What was the name of the band again?
Ulta. It's ULTHA.
ULTHA. All right. Helen.
All right. This will be kind of a twofer because, I know we're kind of getting towards the end of things. But picked both these albums up at the same time, played them at the same time. It's the 2 albums by the new wave of British heavy metal band Avenger. This was their first one, Blood Sports. This is an album cover that could only have been made around 1983.
It looks like it was a reject from a Raven cover.
It really does. It's kind of like, hey, this is like Wacko's Never Do Well cousin or something. He was hoping to be an extra in the Road Warrior.
His cousin lives on the south side of town.
The director from Road Warrior looked at him and was just like, next. But and then their second album, which came out a year or 2 later, called Killer Elite, which always kind of a weird oxymoron. I think I've joked about.
Sarah Deicide got the idea for Once Upon the Cross.
There you go. Yep, coming from Avenger. But it's not a new wave of British heavy metal band that gets mentioned much, but because again, they're a little bit later, showing up like 82, 83, 84, 85 kind of time frame. Both these albums are quite good, though. This is one of those bands that was kind of planting the seeds for both power metal and thrash metal along the way. They featured, Brian Ross in the lineup at one point, but then kind of traded vocalists with the band Satan. So Brian went to Satan, and Ian Davidson Swift came over to Avenger. So yeah, both of these are actually quite solid. They're heavy. They're a little heavier, a little more aggressive than you expect for a new wave of British heavy metal band to typically be. Good listens. I had both of these a long time ago and traded them away just because they're not top of the heap, but they are quite good. And since they've gotten reissued recently, it's like, I really should pick those back up because I actually still remembered a lot of the songs, looking at them like, oh yeah, that's a good track, that was a good track, this was a good track. Well, fuck, why'd I get rid of them if there has so many good songs on them? But yeah, if you or like the early 80s metal kind of stuff, and you like these new wave of British heavy metal bands that have a little more, aggressiveness in their sound, Avenger is a good one to check out. These guys had some, an EP there, a single there. They appeared on some compilations. But again, with these being reissued, they're not hard to get. They won't cost you much. And they're both pretty good albums.
All right. The other CD in the package Alan sent me is Mayhem's Chimera. I only had a CDR burn of this, and we covered this Damon on the album club last week, and this has Blasphemer Runa Eriksson, and I like Runa's guitar playing. It's really weird. He's just the way he processes, guitar phrases and slides in and out of these moods. It's really strange. And I always kind of discredited this record because for the longest time, I just wasn't a fan of the Maniac era, although I've kind of changed on that whole thing. This is a good, solid record. It's weird, musically weird. Maniac, coming after Grand Declaration of War, where he was all over the place, clean singing, militaristic, industrial style to, his acidic screaming tone. But this is all kind of his higher register, not like the super nasally, but just kind of throaty screaming style throughout the whole thing. It's a solid record. I enjoy it. And thank you, Alan, for sending it to me. And could they make that hype sticker any fucking bigger? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, what is a record label? Unless they just took the one from the vinyl and stuck it on the CD, which is probably what happened. But
probably just printed. Yeah.
It's not a great cover to begin with. And then you cover it up mostly with this bullshit. One of their most coherent works since De Mysterious Dom Satanas, bristling with edgy, atonal, nasty riffs, ear-shattering drumming. I mean,
well, it's only their second work since De Mysterious, so
and it doesn't sound anything like De Mysterious. So no. I mean, I don't know. It's just stupid bullshit, PR wannabe shit from Sputnik Music, the distributor, apparently. But yeah, thanks again. It's cool. I'm filling up the rack on my Mayhem collection, and I appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
I enjoy the record. Look, it's cool having a bunch of years away from it and coming back to it and liking it. That Ruim record, I know Melanie didn't. She posted, she had a thing saying she didn't like it. Man, that record rules. That's
a killer album.
It's the best shit he's done. The best Mayhem record hasn't done in forever. So good.
Yeah, Chimera's I got the Mayhem box set with all the Season of Mist stuff on it recently, so I ended up with that as an extra. I like that album. The production on Chimera is a bit of a turnoff to me, though.
It's weird.
It's a very cold, sterile, clinical kind of sound production, which I think it kind of detracts from the music. I would love to hear that album with a very different production just to see what the songs sounded like, or maybe like hear them play the album live or something just for comparison, because I'll bet it has a very different kind of aura about it, because that production is just really, really tough on my ears. But I think the songs are good. I think it's just that the way they produced them doesn't work for me so great.
Right on. Roger.
Yeah, I'm kind of going with that. That Chimera album is kind of wrongly produced in a way.
It's weird production.
And I don't like Maniac's vocals in general. the previous album was kind of, the Grand Declaration is terrible in my opinion.
You know what? I was with you forever, but there's some reason it clicked. And I typically, when I listen to Mayhem, that's the one I grab for. It's weird.
Okay, yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I bought it a couple of years ago and tried it, but no, I just can't stand him. I saw him live once, and the singing was terrible. So it's kind of, I can't stand his vocals on especially that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yep.
So we are going to Greece with Burial Hordes.
God, where did I see that? Do we have a
with
promo for
ruins.
that, Alan? Seems like that looks familiar to me. Anyway,
Yeah, if you saw my latest black metal video, I did play a snippet of it and talked about it. But another Transcending Obscurity.
we did get the promo for that. We do get stuff from Transcending Obscurity.
And kind of should have had it on vinyl, but again, the terrible color variations there are putting me off.
Is it like $20 spin where they have like 50 different color variants that are all crazy?
No, they kind of have 4, but it's so many colors, bright or powerful, orange, red. It's kind of, the label is from India, so I get it, because colors down there have a total different meaning. Yeah. So, but they used to be kind of more connected to the cover, but the later years there's just been random shit. and they're terrible. But if you kind of like Bulser, there's a lot of several songs that are in the vein of Bulser, and it's more of the deathy side of black metal. A lot of very kind of, you have those riffs you just want to bang your head to. A pretty heavy black metal album, but yeah, great band. The previous album is pretty good as well. So yeah, kind of a band you don't see that much talked about, but they definitely should be, because I think they have at least 3 albums. The first album was very kind of primitive, totally black metal, but when they kind of got more heavier, they got better and fits their kind of vocal styles, and a little bit deathy vocals as well. So
there's a guitarist,
dead
congregation.
Yeah,
all right,
that's right. Yeah. So
okay.
yeah, good one.
All right, Ellen.
All right, we'll go with an old school one here. Jeff, again, over at Gas Masks and Hand Grenades, mentioned this a while back as one of his favorite albums. I just never had picked up a physical copy of it, but it showed up cheap in a used bin locally. So I finally got a copy of Uriah Heep's Demons and Wizards. And kind of one of those classic early 70s heavy metal albums. A lot of stuff on this has gotten, covered to death, kind of classic early Roger Dean artwork going on.
Our bass player's in a band called Pan. They do a song, Rainbow Demon. They do a great job of it. It's cool.
Rainbow Demon is off this album. Yeah. Yep. It's one,
so does Iron Flame. Iron Flame's done it as well.
Iron Flame does it. Venture Sword covered Rainbow Demon on one of his albums years and years ago. It gets covered to death. It also includes The Wizard, which is one of their better known songs, and it also includes one of their big hits. They had I don't know all of their songs that charted or didn't chart, but one of the songs that did well here in the U.S. Was called "Easy Living." It's got a really driving, pumping kind of keyboard sound to it. A relatively fast song for the early 70s. Very well done. It's the song I heard, as a kid. I was just like, oh, this is really good. It always stood out because even though it was an early 70s track, it was one my dad liked a lot. And he had no interest in most 70s music. Basically by the time the Beatles showed up, his record collection stops. But this was one that he's just like, this would come on and all of a sudden he's, cranking up the radio dial. He's like, this is it. He's like, here, check this out. You'll like it. I'm like, that is good. I'm surprised you like it. It was not of his generation, but even he recognized that, it was a really pumping song. But yeah, so this is one of the classics. I've heard it plenty of times before, but just never had got around to picking up a copy. It's one of those I see in flea markets and stuff all the time, but it's always beat to shit, and they still want like $10 or $20 for it, and that's not happening. But yeah, for $8 for just a regular CD reissue, sure. So yep, Jeff, there you go. That one's another shout out to you tonight. Classic Uriah Heep. Their early albums, there's lots of good tracks on those. They're one of those bands that they're technically, I guess, still active as far as I know, but the sound changed as time went by, the lineup changed. But some of these early albums, like The Magician's Birthday, Demons and Wizards, Look at Yourself, there's lots and lots of good stuff on all of those. So if you've always passed on Uriah Heep for some reason, and a lot of folks I think do, they're not. You've got Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin up here, and then you've got your Deep Purple and Blue Oyster Cult, and Uriah Heep somewhere down here. They're still a step above Wishbone Ash, but they're not exactly viewed as top tier stuff. But you're missing out on some very, very good songs if you don't check them out.
I picked up that Abominog. I know it's one of Fowley's favorite albums, and I picked up a copy of the vinyl, and it was the first song I liked. The rest of it I thought was really boring.
That one's a decade later, and it's an early '80s album. It has its moments, yeah. I'm not into it as much as King is, but it has its moments. But yeah, that's a completely different style. It might as well be a different band almost at that point.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so there are a lot. King's not the only person who really digs that album.
Yep.
It definitely has a strong fan base.
All right. Yeah, I'm not a Zeppelin fan either, Devin. I like 2 songs by them. I just do not give a shit about Zeppelin. I don't know what it is or why, but I just never. Ugh. Anyway,
I can splice together a little bit of Led Zeppelin, but they are one of those bands I'm okay with, like a very short greatest hits disc, and I'm all set.
Yeah, Over the Hills and Far Away is the one song of theirs that clicked with me. I thought that was a great song. The rest of it, everybody talks about Jimmy Page being amazing. That early shit, you watch him live, he just sloppy, and I just don't like it. Anyway, yeah, hot take. Everybody's gonna be like, you don't like Jimmy Page? Oh my god. I've showed this on Wednesday, and we showed it in our little thing. Yeah, Dwayne sent this, and I love Skeptic's Apocalypse. What an amazing American speed metal record! It is so freaking good. And I like the one after it, Unstoppable Force. It's good. It's not as good as the debut, but it's good. This musically is really, really good. I was really shocked how the band, it sounds like an Agent Steel record. It sounds, the guitar tone's the same, similar. Cirrus, I mean, that's the $1 million question. Is Cirrus gonna step up to the plate and be what he was? And he's halfway there on here. I think his mid range is pretty good. His highs up, man, he's really super squirrely. Yeah. He's all over the place. And I will give it to him the fact that it sounds like he knew he needed to deliver on this, and he's really going for it. But it's very hit or miss. Like Crypts of Galactic Damnation, No Other Gods Before Me, Trespassers. Wow, he's trying to live up in that higher falsetto screaming register, and it's like,
yeah, it's not good. That's kind of killing the album for me. The vocals. The
first song though is pretty good, and I really, like I said, I like the music until you get to side D, The Incident, Outer Space Connection, Entrance to Afron V. The album kind of runs out of steam by side D, but I don't know. I was kind of surprised at how much I like this, and I can look past a vocalist kind of missing the mark. It kind of sounds like studio wise they're trying to correct it, maybe with the
auto-tune.
I mean, it sounds like they're trying to fix it, so there's some weird shit. But when he's living up in that super higher register that he used to nail on 2-inch tape, he's not nailing it here. He's struggling. And but I do applaud him for trying. I mean, he's really kind of going for it. He knows he needs to butter the bread on this one, and I just don't think he's got it anymore. But it still sounds like him. The music is really good speed metal. It could have lived between this and Unstoppable Force if John was singing in the caliber he was singing at Skeptic's Apocalypse on this record. Holy fuck, this would have been. And what's up with this again? God damn it.
Looks like the headlights on a Chevy Impala.
Someone's listening to C.W. McCall's truck driving songs behind the driving all night. I don't know. But I appreciate it, Dwayne, for sending that, and I dig it. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to listen to it again. I'm an Agent Steel fan, and it's really good. I'm surprised. I was kind of surprised at how much I liked it, even though the vocals aren't great. They're not great.
Yeah.
But
that is what it's coming down to on that one, because I've played it once because Dwayne sent me a copy also, and I agree with your take, Marty. Musically, really impressive. The guys
sounds like Agent Steel. Yeah,
the guys he got backing him up sound really good.
Great solos, great guitar tone.
It really comes down to whether you're okay with his voice having lost a couple of steps or if that's a deal breaker. And that's what I've seen in reading reviews of it. The reviews for that album either tend to be, pretty positive. They're like, solid comeback. Sirius is still hanging in there. Or the reviews are just like, oh shit, John's. The negative reviews just focus on Sirius. They're like, 40%. And it's just like, Sirius can't sing anymore. He's embarrassing himself.
His mid range is good. It's still when he's not taken up to the higher elevation, it's pretty solid. It's just when he goes up there, it's like, woo, oops, rein it in, Brohammer. You're getting a little out of touch with what you can do. The older you and younger you are two different things, especially for a vocalist. It just is.
John Sirius and being in touch with much of anything was always a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, they put the probe a little too deep into that guy. When they broke something when they borrowed him for observation. Anyway, and if you're watching this, John, sorry, but man, come back to Earth. Anyway, Roger. And I'm sure he's not watching this.
Going a trip to the Philippines with Formless Oedon. These guys all play in a band called Nullification, which I think is more known, and that is kind of a old school European death metal sounding band, and this is more towards the US type of there. This kind of some incantation, and the second or third song here is a very much an immolation song, but apart from that there's no kind of it's not copying anything. It just sounds very. It's a pretty cool cover, but
Philippines. Can you imagine being completely like segregated from the rest of the world as far as scenes? Who's influencing you? It's like,
of course. I mean, the influences are here, but it's kind of not as much as I kind of thought it would. The Nullification project is more kind of more good sound, really sounding like some of the bands, but this is kind of have their in a way own sound, but you have the incantation and the immolation there. But apart from that, it's pretty well done in not copying too many of those bands directly. So pretty good stuff. So another Memento Mori release.
Yep.
So yeah, I really liked it. It's just like basic old school death metal.
Philippines. I mean, where they have like hundreds of islands in that place, and man, what kind of a scene? What kind of a scene is there? It's like
there are. I do have like I think 3 or 4 bands, but that's it.
Right. They probably all share members too.
Yeah, but I mean, this is all those bands are similar. That's same guys in both bands. So
yeah. All right, Alan.
All right, so we're all kind of getting towards the bottom of the stack.
I got 2 more.
Okay, I can do a couple more too. Finally got around to picking this up. This is one that y'all covered on the album club a while back, and it interested me enough. I had done the homework. So it's kind of cool. I'll pick it up when I find it.
Who picked this one?
Kellen. This was a Kellen album.
Interesting.
Yeah, I tend to I buy a lot of the Kellen picks on the album club. His taste is really, really good in metal. He picks interesting things. And
I love you, TJ. If you're watching, don't be like that. It's all good.
I have bought at least one TJ pick from the album club as well. So, and we all know what that one was.
Did it come with a sweater?
No. Anyway,
No.
no. It It rhymes with Ronnie Neal or no, sorry, Ronnie Much.
Oh God.
Anyway, this was the Miscreants album.
Yeah, excellent one.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good listen. It was, and y'all had a very good discussion on it. It was a really good episode of the Album Club. Yeah, bottom line is, the band's kind of again trying to graft themselves to the early '90s death template a bit. They do it reasonably well. The album's, I like it. It's a good listen. It's dynamic. It doesn't go off script into just, tech metal wankery. It's also a relatively short album, which I find works in its favor. It's under 40 minutes, if I remember right. And so it gets in, the songs do their thing and they wrap up quickly and move on to the next one. Which again, it's something I can appreciate. And when this kind of album, if they add another, it's only 8 tracks. If they add 4 more songs and the album pushes an hour, it probably becomes a little bit tough, to maintain focus all the way through.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's a very short, compact statement. Here's what we are. Here's what we can do. There's no secret about what we're trying to, copy, what direction we're going in. But yeah, it's just it's a fun listen. It's an interesting listen. They do an excellent job with it. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this one. Just took me a while to find a copy at the right price, but I did. And yep, Kellen, you have taken more money out of my pocket once again, sir. Cheers.
There's a lot of Pestilence spheres on that album as well. So
yes,
kind of that's I feel that that's kind of something that's been missing in the kind of revival of death metal. That type of very well-crafted, technical, slightly progressive death metal, and they just do it very well. I think they kind of nail it without kind of just being a copycat. It's just good songwriting, I think, on that.
Yeah,
album.
I agree. Yeah,
no,
that's a good record.
That's a very good summary, Roger. And yeah, Spheres is one of those kind of, it's a little bit of a controversial album. Some people like it and some don't. I love it. I think it's a fantastic album.
It's a fucking brilliant album. So
yes, yeah. And like you describe it too, it's progressive and kind of techie, but it's not pretentious in any way. It doesn't have any of that kind of air about it at all. Good stuff. All right, Marty.
Well, I've been talking about them, but I'm totally enamored with this band right now. And Darken Nocturne Slaughter Cult. I got
great name.
Hora Nocturna. My favorite, Nocturnal March of the 3 I got. And this one I just talked about the other night. I can't remember. Follow the Calls for Battle. These are all reissues that came out on Osmos and another label. I cannot read it because my eyes are old and it's dark in here. But what's her name? It's here. O'Neillar.
Yeah, O'Neillar.
God, her vocals are just great. And this is a German black metal band. Again, there's production value here, but it's raw. And it doesn't necessarily sound German. They're definitely dipping into the Scandinavian tone, but not somewhere a mix between Swedish and Norwegian. They're not playing all 6 strings when it's just raw, dissonant. And one of these, this one, Sign for the Norse Hordes to Ride, Immortal cover. So that kind of tells you where this is, what era this is leaning into. But God, this stuff is just freaking awesome. It's just really well done, raw black metal. And I found out about this band. I might have heard of the name over the years, but I was flipping through, YouTube recommends you listen to other things. Some live clips. God damn it.
Oh yeah. White dress and blood.
Oh yeah, the blood, the white dress, that goofy V thing that she's playing.
She looks so damn awful.
She looks like a rejected angel, And it's like
no, punch in the face, go down to hell with you.
Right? Yeah, like a garbage pail kid edition of an angel. But it's like her voice is just great, and Her playing is great. The songs are really well constructed. Good hooks. I mean, this band has got a lot of cool shit. It's great. And she's also in Bethlehem. The last two Bethlehem records.
Yeah.
I need to get them. I cannot find them in the US for cheap. So I don't want to pay $1 million from Europe. So they'll show
Patience,
up.
they'll show up.
They will show up.
Yeah. I'm going to check them out based on both of your recommendations. I got to say, no, that name, it so sounds like an AI generated heavy metal band name.
Like three words, like evil words together, like this is our band, you know?
Yes, just type it into the computer. What is the perfect name for an extreme metal band? Dark and Nocturne Slaughter Cult.
Yep. And the funny thing is, there's no wheel being reinvented here. So go into it knowing that it's just going to be solid. And this is typically the type of black metal I like. I mean, I like fancy shit too, but I got to be in the mood for the fancy stuff.
So you're saying their pet is a solid black cat and nobody has shaved it.
Yep. There's no shaven cat and there's no wine. She maybe hasn't run a brush through her hair in a while. It's all good. Roger.
They probably decided the name. They probably was a 3-piece, and they had each different name, and they just we just call it.
Okay, everybody pick an adjective that sounds evil, and we'll just arrange them until we find the right one.
Cult, I win. Most evil.
How do we do this? Is it Cult Slaughter Dark and Nocturne? What about Nocturne Slaughter Dark and Cult?
That could work. Yeah.
That one almost worked. I'm keeping that one. I'm copywriting that shit, y'all. Keep your hands off.
That's your new band, Alan.
Alan's new band. Yep.
There we go.
That
won't be confusing at all. We'll tour together and just fuck with everybody.
Yeah, well, Eternal Rot. Guess who drew this artwork?
Mr. Riddick.
Yes. So fucking awesome.
You got a promo for that too. I never got around to listen to it.
Again, Gods of War production. So Death Doom, very cool music on here. I mean, heavy, just headbanging Death Doom. But on this album, the vocals, they are so over the top, overproduced, are kind of layered out, and it sounds like a fucking beast. And for 2 songs, that's fucking awesome. But for an whole album, I'm kind of tone it down a little. Yeah, too much. But I mean, for 2 songs, it's just fucking awesome to listen to, because the vocals are so overdone and over tempered with, in a way that it's kind of I mean, a lot of people love this band, and I understand it, but for me the vocals kind of killed it a little bit on this album. But excellent artwork and excellent music, so go and check it out, but just be warned that the vocals could turn you off a little bit.
All right, Alan.
All right, let's see. I guess this will be my last one. Yeah, we'll do this one. Finally got around to picking this up. It is Shards of Humanity, Cold Logic. Yeah. This is what's that label? Oh, George, I always get their names wrong. Unspeakable Acts. Yeah, sorry. They were the ones that have released a lot of the cool South American stuff in recent years too. This was one that Pat over on Ground Zero Salem had talked about a couple of years ago when it came out, and it was, he thought it was pretty cool, recommended it, so I filed it in the back of my head. It's one of those things I kept bookmarked on Bandcamp for like 2 years. It's one of those you always think like, well, maybe today's the day I buy it, and then you find something else you want to get instead. But I placed an order through I think it was Dark and Descent, and they had it on sale, so I was like, okay, yeah, finally time to reel that in. It's pretty good. It's in that kind of somewhere between death and thrash zone. It in a way almost feels like they're trying to do some of the same things that Miscreants do. They don't do it quite as well, but it's still a good album on its own merits. it's got, a little different production. They're not going, as techy whatsoever, perhaps. But if you like things in that general zone, and again, this one I've only gotten to play a couple of times, so I don't have a really deep description of it yet. But it was a good pickup. If you liked, something, it's not as good as spiritual healing or something like that, of course, but you're getting in at least the same zip code if you're thinking along those lines. Don't know what the band's up to these days. It's probably about time for them to do something else by this point. But Unspeakable Acts puts out lots of interesting stuff, and Shards of Humanity seems right at home with a lot of the others.
Yeah, it's a good album, that one. Yeah.
All right, Marty, you wrapping us up?
Yep, this is my last one. We're gonna end on a non-metal, but metal adjacent, I guess, because it's got the aggression of metal. I heard people talk about the band Youth Code as being influenced by Skinny Puppy. So I picked up their latest album, Commitment to Complications. And this doesn't really sound much like Skinny Puppy to me. It's really good. It's a 2-piece. The music is pretty good industrial music, hard hitting, hard driving, and Lady Screamer. She's got kind of a screamo type of vocal style, up higher register, screaming. And I like her voice. The problem is that she doesn't do much with it. She just kind of screams the whole time. There's not many dynamics where the music, there are moments of cutting in and out and up and down dynamics, and her voice just kind of stays crushing the whole time. I haven't spun this as much as I want to, but I have a couple other their albums as well. I do like it. I'm a fan of industrial music too. I branch out. I like pure electronic music if it's in the aggressive form. And this is definitely that. I've watched they play live. She headbangs the whole time. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty solid, aggressive, modern industrial from the States. I think they're from California. But Wumpscut. I have a couple Wumpscut albums. That's a little more dancey than this. This is a little more aggressive. Wumpscut. I do like some Wumpscut, but there's a ton. There's so much Wumpscut. There's a handful to buy, and then if you want to be a completist with that project, dig deep. But Youth Code, it's good. I like it. I need to spend a little more time with this and with a couple of other albums I've gotten by them, but promising, solid. I do like the industrial sound. And is it Skinny Puppy? Nah, it's not. Not many bands are. A lot of bands wish they could be, but that's a tough order to fill. Roger, you got anything you want to run through? A couple left you got there? I know you.
I've got a couple of left, so I can just
go for it and just ring through
them. Undead from I think they're from Sweden. They sound very Swedish. Putrefactio is the title of this. This is kind of, if you know Nominum and Snared, those kind of more vicious death metal that the Swedes do. Great album. It's from this year, so this might end up on my list for this year because it's kind of a death metal style that I really like. It's kind of a very energetic death metal, so really cool. It's a 4-piece, but I think they're from Sweden, and but they kind of sound the same as those Swedish bands that I mentioned. I don't know if you're familiar with bands like Nomenon and Snared, but
good stuff.
Yeah. Then we have this album in which I returned to. I kind of slept on this when it came out. I don't remember, 22 or something. Didn't get it before this year, Deathrus. Unrelenting Malevolence, which is kind of pretty fitting. Death Thrash, really good stuff. This album is kind of in the same way as Dead Chasm, just want to go back to it all the time, and it's so many killer riffs here, and just hitting the spots when it comes to Death Thrash, up tempo, fast, really good riffs on this album, and kind of if I had it back, it would be on my list for that year, but I didn't. I slept on it. I don't know why, but kind of the vocals is kind of a little bit weird. I think that was kind of initially what's put me off that album. Then we have Hallucinate. I've seen this been shown.
Interesting cover. Yeah.
Interesting cover. It kind of is a bit progressive death metal in a way. Song 4 is totally a progressive rock song in a way. It's at least the first half, very weird, kind of crashes in the middle of the album. But yeah, a lot of progression. It's not as horrendous. It's kind of the same style as horrendous, but way more focused on death metal, just adding and more growly vocals. It's a very good album, but as I said, that kind of fourth song is very misplaced because it's on clean vocals and very like prog rock opening of that song, which kills it a little bit. And the last one I pulled out is modern black metal Adversum, a one and done album. It's kind of in the vein of Galleria and stuff like that. If you're into that album, I can show you the band name there. So this is a really good album for the modern black metal era of that kind of slightly progressive style. Not too progressive, but Galleria and that modern Uada and stuff like that. So that was it, I think.
Right on. Well, we did it. Roger, God, you rule, man. It's so
Thanks.
good having you on, and always fun. And your third time. We gotta get you on again soon.
I'm up for it. This is good fun. So,
and I'm sorry
Absolutely.
it's 6:30 in the morning your time.
no problem. I'm gonna get breakfast soon. So,
Oh shit, Alan, you rule as always, my friend. A lot of fun here. Do you remember the name of the person that won the contest?
Yes, Thomas Shanning. I've already posted a reply to their comment in episode 125. So, Thomas, if you're watching this or listening to this later on, get in touch, and Marty and I will get you your winnings as soon as we can.
Yep.
I've left you instructions in a message over there in episode 125. So congratulations to Thomas for winning it. Roger, thanks again so much for joining. So many cool things. I've got a relatively sizable list of some things I'm going to be playing this weekend. Probably adding at least to the Bandcamp list for starters. Always cool. Thanks to everybody for hanging out in the chat. There's been a lot of folks discussing stuff, all kinds of cool albums people are listening to lately. Thanks to folks who have added corrections for us, provided some details when we got stuck on a name and stuff. It's really helpful to us to have y'all help us fact check things and make sure we get the information correct and jog our memories when we get stuck on a point. The chat is what it's fun talking with Roger and Marty, but having so many other folks, hang out and enjoy it and contribute, that was what makes it really, really special.
Yeah, that's what makes this show fun, man.
Yeah, but that's kind of what the streams, when you can kind of watch the comments and talk a little bit shit in the comments, and it's just it's really
Absolutely.
fun. It's just a shame that you have the wrong time for your show.
I know it sucks. There's so many people I want to get here from Europe.
Yeah,
I mean, we want to get more European. We would have to change our time, and
Yeah, and then kind of that's not good because everybody expects this
I know.
time is set, so it's kind of. But I guess most of the guys, if they don't have kids, can stay up for a night once in a while. So.
Yeah, we had the last person from overseas I think we had was Mike, and I almost killed him. I think at the end he was fading. It was tough, but
probably had a couple of glasses of wine as well. So
maybe so.
Probably.
But I mean, Roger, you rule. Everybody go check out Roger Chernovic. Is that right?
Close.
The link's in the description. Please go subscribe to Roger's channel. It's great. He does a great job. I mean, the man is an encyclopedia. He's got a lot of great stuff.
He has stuff
8 o'clock
you have not
USA
heard
time.
of, guaranteed. So yes, go check it out.
A lot of stuff. I mean, like tonight, there's so much stuff. 90% of the shitty show, and I have not heard of. So, which isn't much. I mean, no one knows everything. It's just
same stuff with you. No, I mean,
Yeah.
especially kind of the non-extreme stuff. It's kind of stuff that I don't pick up on because I don't watch that much channels that do that. I'm watching Alan, and he always show me stuff that I never heard of and find it interesting. So it's kind of that's the cool thing about this. You know, you don't have to dig out stuff yourself. You can just watch video and you get some stuff to check out. So it's an awesome platform to be on.
Yep, absolutely. But everybody, thank you for joining us. Roger, don't hang up, and y'all have a great one. And anything to add, Alan, before?
I think just show notes. Marty and I are going to be separated for a couple of weeks here. Marty's out of town next Friday night, but I will be here with Aaron from Metal Theologian and Dwayne from the Lazarus channel. And we are going to be tackling The Best, the Rest, and the Rare from 1982. We're going with a real early year, kind of pre-thrash, pre-death, pre a lot of things. But yeah, so we'll be taking a look at some of the interesting albums that came out there. As heavy metal was just really gaining momentum and starting to take off in the early 80s. And then the week after that, I disappear with some family stuff, and Marty will be on with some awesome guests and cover something as well. So Heavy Metallurgy will still be up and running as usual. We'll just have some slightly different lineups for the next couple of weeks while Marty and I take care of friends and family on the next couple of Friday nights.
Other show notes, Monday there'll be a review. I'm probably going to be reviewing the new Autopsy. I have not been all the way through the album yet, so it's I like to procrastinate, but I always get the job done. Wednesday night, Album Club will be covering Manila Road's Atlantis Rising. I picked, and Friday, you just heard about. So we're all set with notes. Go check out Roger's channel. Everybody, you all rule. Take care. We will see you next week. Have a great weekend.